it's a sure thing. This way you heard it first. I got the tide on my arrivals like a tidal wave. They stay on high alert. I'm a champion. I'm a champion. I earn my way. I deserve the name of a champion. Hear my anthem. This is our champions I made. This is our champions I made. This is our champions I made. All the way, all the way, all the way up. All the way, all the way up. Best of the best, 'cause I'm sitting on top. All the way up. All the way, all the way, all the way up. All the way, all the way up. Top of the game, 'cause I'm too hot to touch. All the way up. I'm a champion. I'm a champion. I earn my way. I deserve the name of a champion. Hear my anthem. This is our champions I made.
Let's go. Bring it in. We about to do what we did again. Nothing to prove, but you know what we've been against. We got a calling to do it. You know we assuring it. You see the evidence. Yeah, you see the homie. I'm going from holy to holy. Going from glory to glory. I ain't just living, I'm telling the story. I had an episode better than Maury. I had to step and they couldn't ignore it. I had a shot and I hit it like Ori. I feel the glory. I feel the glory. Let's go. If I do it, I'ma do it for the glory. Yeah, ain't nobody gonna do it for me. I'ma kill it every day up in the morning. It's a blessing, so I do it for the glory. Hey, the glory. Hey, the glory. Hey, you know I do it for the glory. Hey, the glory. Hey, hey, when I do it, yeah, I do it for the glory. Amen. Yeah. Hey, if I do it, then I'm doing it to death. Oh yeah, I'm influencing the ones that do it best. Oh yeah, start a movement with the crew. You got a few, we got a slew. We trying to do what they said that we couldn't do. Oh yeah, I ain't living with regrets. Ain't no limits, ain't no rest. Yeah, more money, power, respect.
Oh yeah, baby! Welcome back, guys. Another day, more T3 Arena League action. Super excited to be here once again. And finally, over towards phase one, we have reached the end of our groups. It's going to be Group D today. And from what we've talked about and what we've heard over the past few days, this group is looking to maybe showcase one of the best teams, some of the best players, and maybe show us the most dominant gameplay we've seen in quite a while. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show. I'm Digital Cast Williams A. With me, Ben Lehane, Smash Shouts. And of course, we also have our special analyst, Mr. YOLO. How you doing, YOLO? Let's start with you.
I'm doing great. I'm really looking forward to tonight. Obviously, we've got the main team, exclusive Arsenal, where we know all the players. We know Jizuki, we know Myron, we know Bide, we know AIM. But we've got three new teams that none of us not really know much about. So we're going to be waiting, seeing if they can maybe give us some surprises, maybe a bit of David and the Goliath action. But that's what I'm really looking forward to tonight.
Yeah, no, Digi, I echo your thoughts. It is a case of that one exclusive Arsenal club that's been touted by all the experts that we've seen, talked to behind the scenes, that this is a super team. This is the big fish in terms of top of the pops. And we'll have to see them. They are in a group which you'd say looks a little bit easier on paper, but I mean, complacency can come into it. Maybe Myron doesn't play to the fullest potential, isn't as serious as they possibly can be, and some upsets can happen. But yeah, as far as results go, ex-Arsenal, they're looking like they would be the top of this group, and I'm excited to see them play. Hopefully, they play to their full potential and full power, because I'd like to see some top-tier gameplay today.
Yeah, indeed. And yesterday we saw another exclusive team, Exclusive Eternals, I think T3 got himself, touted to be another, really top-tier player within the scene. And towards the end of the day, he wasn't even trying as hard. Dude was playing whatever he wanted. He pulled out the Diggy or whatnot. He brought out the Yard.
Was it Wake Up doing the Diggy, or was
Wake
it?
Up was playing Diggy.
Well,
Yeah, that's right.
Wake Up,
But they were just having fun. And it felt like these guys aren't really showcasing what they're properly capable of. So I hope they don't, get stuck in the mentality of, I'm too good, joking around, ego takes over. It does happen quite a lot in esports and real life sports as well.
Well, I mean, when back in my heyday, I mean, when Jesus was playing fullback for Jerusalem a long time ago when I was playing games, these were the moments you'd take to farm some clips. Some highlights, put some stars on your banner, put a little montage for your YouTube channel. So I'm hoping that the players take this opportunity to today, if it is these one-sided matchups, to really show off, maybe pick some of the Scardis, these clip farmers, and show us a bit of skills.
All right, yeah, that is probably what we are going to be looking out for, just really to see, how hard exclusive Arsenal might actually be pushed. But then again, we also have to really pay attention to maybe one of these 3 other unknown teams might be a surprising dark horse, like a serious unknown that comes in and just almost going toe-to-toe against one of the top teams in the region, which would, put every other team on alert. Hopefully, that's the idea, right? Now, guys, obviously, if you're tuning in for the 4th day into Phase 1, let's have a look at how it works, basically explaining how the entire format of this league works. So, Qualifiers Phase 1, that's where we're in right now, and there's been 4 groups, A, B, C, and D. We are in D. 16 teams invited from previous community tournaments like the Rampage. 4 winners, 1 from each day from each group, will advance directly to the finals. Instant qualification, skipping Phase 2, which is going to be the wildcard phase. 32 teams, open registration. Any team that basically bombed out of Phase 1, they're more than welcome to join and try again. 4 winners, same old story, advance to the finals, which is going to be Phase 3. 8 teams from 1 and 2. They're going to basically duke it out to see who becomes the first T3 Arena League champion. All the blood, guts, and glory.
Yeah, and I mean, we've seen already in these 3 days we've played out a lot of ups and downs in terms of, well, not only gameplay, but also just emotions and things like that. So it's been a bit of a roller coaster ride, and finally we're in Group D, and we'll get the 4th of the seeded teams into those season finals, and then it'll be down to the wild cards. As you mentioned, that is going to be just madness. Honestly, we've seen some teams go down into those wild cards that we've been very tight in terms of finals. We've already had a bracket reset as well, so we've got some big teams down in those wild cards. YOLO, you've watched a little bit and been along on the journey with us. So wild card teams, is there any team in their wild cards that you'd expect to see come through?
Well, I know so far on the first qualifier, the team with Thomas, Rafa, they got knocked out early with some issues, maybe with like Wi-Fi lag, etc. But they're going to be coming back guns blazing, and I'm sure they're going to secure one of those 4 wildcard slots. And then obviously we've got a bit of an exclusive army at the moment, so I'm hoping we get 3 more wildcard teams that can come out and maybe with a different team name, someone we don't know, can come up and spice it up a bit.
Well, and also a few weeks ago as well, the Reinhardts, they kind of bailed out because they were getting a little bit too tired at night. But early in the day, these guys were just, all cylinders firing. I was amazed. Anywho, that's all for theory. When we actually go to the wildcard stage, let's check out the bracket for today. And can't wait to see the scores as well of what happened. Oh, well, maybe not yet. Regardless, 4 teams today: XCV, Wings of Jupiter, X-Arsenal, and Infinity X. So I guess we only really know one team here, touted to obviously be the best, X-Arsenal, and it's quite fitting, I would think, to let YOLO, the lad from the UK, to talk to us about Arsenal.
Well, obviously, in terms of the football reference, it's a long day for that. But in terms of exclusive Arsenal, they've all been playing for, say, since beta, about a year ago now. And they're very experienced. They've played through the various different metas. I'm sure we'll see Myron, probably as you were talking about earlier, talking about some clips, maybe get some montage clips of OSAS. That's what he's most well known for. And then obviously Jizuki is probably going to be playing some Skadi, Judex, or Shell, Aletta. And then Aim and Bide, maybe a bit of a tanky option like a hybrid Ruby. But I'm sure we're going to be seeing a lot of different comps, as you saw like T3 God doing yesterday, for example. Hopefully we'll get some spice in that sense.
Yeah, I guess in that sense as well, just from purely watching exclusive Arsenal, we can kind of get a feel of how they stack up versus the other exclusive teams. Earlier, last week during Group A, I think exclusive Argon and whatnot, those guys, they were not playing for fun. They were straight serious, right? So you can kind of get a grasp of just how confident some of these players are.
Yeah, you certainly can. Well, I mean, the first two groups we had, there was a bit of competition in terms of, there were 2 or 3 teams that could take out those groups. Now we're starting to see these ex-Eternals yesterday and now ex-Arsenal. They're in groups where it's a bit lopsided in terms of the teams remaining. So those guys, they had a little bit of fun with it, especially T3 God and Wake Up. I mean, Wake Up's Johnny Jet yesterday on the first series just absolutely tore through the opposition. It almost felt like a 1v3 in some situations. So understandable that they were like, wow, this is too easy for us. Let's go pick some diggy. And they did. Yeah. Today, I could see the same thing. Ex-Arsenal, they come out pretty strong in the first series, gauge kind of the level of the competition, and then from there be like, all right, well, let's have some fun with it.
Yeah.
So hopefully, though, we get to see some of that OSAS, as you mentioned, from Myron, because it's been hyped up all 4 days so far. Everyone that's come on our broadcast with us has said, this guy, this hero... Myron. Yeah, it is repetitive. Myron. So, we'll have to see if he lives up to the hype.
Yeah, certainly would have to. And other than that, I suppose just strategies. I just want to see maybe how different, once again, would exclusive Arsenal play compared to their sister teams. But that's one side. We've all talked about the super team that's been super hyped up. But it's mostly my eyes are going to be on the more 3 unknowns, because I seriously hope that there are more teams coming into the scene that can also stand the test and go toe to toe against the top dogs. And it's not just one club, one clan affair. Isn't that right, YOLO?
Yeah, that's exactly it. Like, most of us, especially all the casters and the players, are all for new teams coming up. And so even if they say lose today, they've also got the wild card option to get through. Is that as well? And also just basically seeing a lot of new teams will make other people who are like on the fence of, should I play? I don't want to get scared. I don't want to lose to these teams on stream or whatever. But I'm all for lots of new players coming in, getting a lot more excitement and hype. I'm sure after this league, there'll be a lot more players that see this and they're like, I really want to play this game. I want to play competitively. I want to join scrims. I want to play these really good players, see what it's like, learn from them. And I'm sure that's what's going to happen today.
And I'm sure so far the community has been very welcoming, and everyone's, for the most part, they've been really, on board to basically teach and guide new players, whatnot, through what's happened in the scene in the past. And also, YOLO, now, I want to pick your brain about a certain question, is that over the past few days, a lot of these top teams, right, they kind of do have a different composition coming into these games, which, of course, with the format we have is we're starting off in the best of 3, being the control maps, and those are small, the King of the Hill, capture the point, and then later on, payload escort. How do you think exclusive Arsenal, they're going to be coming to this today? Are they going to be more like reserved, like exclusive Argon, having, say, what was it, Cole on a tank role permanently, Jabali or Ruby, and then his other 2 teammates on JJ, and then just like a flanker DPS type thing? Or is this more of a team that goes straight into their faces because they're just that good at the game, they're that good at aiming? What is the point of defense? We can just straight demolish the team.
Well, the best defense is a good offense, right? So I think they will be coming with that sort of mindset, with maybe, as I was saying, aim and bide in sort of a hybrid tank role, and then having Myron and Chizuki just on the flanks, constantly putting pressure off, trying to get these picks so the person on point can just completely push the cart. Or even on defense, they'll just be spawn trapping. Hopefully we don't see a 4-minute spawn trap, because that's never nice to see. But I'm sure it'll be very eventful, whatever happens.
No, and just touching back on your point earlier, where you mentioned you're hoping to see more people get involved, kind of, and then the hesitancy because you don't want to be streamed while you're losing and all of that. Mate, get amongst it. If you are on the edge and you're on the cusp of deciding if you want to get into esports, if you want to get into gaming, if you want to start playing a little bit more seriously, I'm telling you now, matchmaking is great and all, and you have fun playing the game, but you'll never have as much fun as playing with mates in a team. It is the best bang for your buck in terms of gaming. So definitely get amongst it. If you're on the fence, find some mates, play in a few tournaments, get that exposure, get that interest going on, and you'll see it's a whole different side to playing the game. It's wonderful. On the bracket now, as you can see on your screens, we can see ex-Arsenal. They did take that 2-0 versus Infinity nice and quickly. But the other semi-final, winner bracket semi-final we've got now, Wings of Jupiter and XEV, they are tied up at 1 apiece. So we'll keep you updated on what's going on there, Digi.
Exactly, and also just a couple of updates that I've gotten is that since XEV and Wings of Jupiter, they are currently coming into probably the final stages of their best of 3 format. So we should actually go in there and just catch up on them, have a look at how they're doing. Because on the other side of the river, ex-Arsenal versus Infinity, I mean, that's 2-0. I guess it was to be expected. What exactly was the score? Not too sure, but doesn't matter at the end of the day. And also an update as well when we do see them. Apparently Myron isn't playing, which I'm sure we'll have a small cry about that. Wanted to see the GOAT not today, perhaps. Anywho, though, we're coming into map 3, Giga Cave Mine, and let's see.
Oh, here we go. This is tight too. This is actually a really good push here from the side of TWJ. They managed to get this very, very far, and we see some different type of strategies coming through here. We see the Jabali. Also, some different characters being played here as well, and well, Smooth is just getting pushed out. JJ Smooth is getting absolutely destroyed. This could be a full push.
Yeah, well, but this is probably the farthest that I've ever seen any Giga Cave Mine actually go. Jabali and Jabali. I mean, this is just madness. And also, it's good to see Gatlin as well.
Yeah, Gatlin.
Right? We haven't seen much of her either across the entire group. And so far, so good. 1 kill. Sandbagging around an objective. A little bit of a movement boost. Oh, retreating to safety. So this game is going to get a little bit dragged out. 50 seconds though to push it at 10 meters. I mean, that's pretty good.
These compositions are quite weird, isn't it? It's a Jabali Gatlin mirror, and then they've got a bit of difference on the third pick as well. It looks like a Sentry on the offense, in fact. So that's a very unique way of playing the game from what we've seen compared to the other teams that have been playing so far. So definitely a bit of a bunker strategy, a bit of that pirate ship coming out, and you can see now Jabali on the cart trying to do what they can. They got that reflective shield up, and they do manage to get a kill with that reflective shield. Oh no, that is not one you want broadcast live to the world. Dylan gets a 2-piece, but now has to juke jive around. Gets, oh my god, blocks the ult as well from the Hualing, and is going in for the third. Cleans up. That is a hero play from Dylan, and they managed to cap it out as well. So TWJ on the attack, dominating through that one. It took them a while, but they got there in the end.
The Wings of Jupiter, and Dylan looking to grow into a really clutch Jabali, to say the least. That's probably the first time I've seen that Jabali 1vx just on the payload as well, just to win control and then push it towards the end for the most part. Granted, he did lose his life, but nonetheless, his job here was done. He bought enough time as well for that massive rotation from his dead teammates to actually come back into the battle. So, good to keep an eye on that. Anywho, though, sides are switched, and oh man, Vincent on Giga Cave Mine. Real quick, Yola, we gotta hear your thoughts on this. Like, this is the first time we've seen like Giga Cave Mine and in a while, and Vincent on a map this big. I don't know, man.
I mean, this is the thing, right? Vincent is a great character if you know how to play him. Like T3 Gods as well, as you saw last night, but maybe he didn't use Vincent, but he's a great Vincent player. Vincent's a really difficult character to use, but on such a big map, you can easily go invisible, go around a corner, hide. They won't have any idea where you are, and then you can just go close to them, one-shot melee them, and run away. So he could, like, if they're not in voice chat and they don't have their good comms together, then they could easily get picked off by this Vincent. He could be really good and very aggro getting these picks. But on the other hand, he's very squishy. So if he's not a good Vincent, it could be a long day for them on attack.
Oh, well, we'll see how Vincent plays. Well, so far, not very good. I think he just got instantly taken out, so that's rough. But
happens to the best of us.
That might have an effect, to say the least. Regardless, it did happen at the end of the day. And early brawling, early juke, and you can't really say if any team has the direct advantage. If anything, it's actually this lone Jabali who manages to stay alive for a bit longer, and, well, you'll take that push.
Yeah, certainly. Stagey plug on the cart, doing God's work right now, pushing that thing. JJ Smooth now does rejoin the fray. Dylan just on high, laying down a little bit of harass onto that shield, and we got Sneakante. What is that name? Sneakante. I thought it was Snake Eater for a second. Sneakante on the high lane, trying to get some sort of poke down, trying to get some sort of frag, but no, it is going to be JJ Smooth on the flank, cleaning Dylan up. And again, the cart just keeps rolling, keep on trucking. Ultimate almost available for this Jabali as well. This can be a hard retake in here, actually.
Yep, well,
especially
one of them coming through. I don't actually think it managed to get Stagey, and he just instantly burns that Scotty down to nothing. Here comes Sindri as well. Oh, look.
Oh, the reflection.
We know how Sindri is close towards combat sometimes with the primary fire instead of her turret on board. And that's the second Jabali ult reflect kill we've seen in quite a while.
Just getting picked apart, you know, death by 1,000 cuts. You got to put the card in the payload though. The payload in the checkpoint, and they managed to do that eventually. So moving on to the second stage, where teams can get stalled out quite a bit, and with Stagey pushing ahead and getting taken out pretty quickly, this is going to allow the defense to kind of retake a lot of positioning. You see that sentry turret already going down, but yeah, they're going to be able to retake here and get a little bit of a foothold, you'd imagine. Dylan coming up on that ultimate as well, so now they're going to get a little bit of pressure going through. That sentry turret in decent position, and yep, net lands. JJ Smooth back to the lobby. The second shot not going to be able to come through. It is going to be Sneakante answering back and getting a second as well. rings the dome of Renegado Ghost.
Pretty good thus far, I gotta say. JJ Smooth, maybe not having the best start he wanted on Vincent, but we will see. Maybe now where the space is a little bit more open, he can find places to be sneaky in. But then again, if you try to focus on the sneaky gameplay as Vincent, the main issue is like, where are you to support your team during these massive team fights? So for the most part, we see Jabali here stage you just as a shield, and a lot of the DPS have to come from Sneakante. So I'm hoping he can live up to the occasion. And my god, he actually is! Headshots after headshots, damage. Dylan's running for his life. And they're going to fire warning shots at him to push him away. And it seems like JJ Smooth, his sole job is to just keep pushing the payload. I guess it works. So regardless, fire from above, not finding them much value. And here comes the one dance. Instant team Elam for the most part. My goodness, a full wipe. 3 minutes, however, to get it all the way. I think XEV, they could still do this. It's just depending on how far the spawn is. That is a long hike away.
Certainly is. They've got some ultimates on the board, but it's been interesting to see how Stagey and Sneakante have been playing together. Sneakante just kind of using Stagey's shield as sort of cover to push through the map, and Sneakante trying to get off that high ground is going to get plucked out of mid-air and isn't going to be able to get into a decent position, but it is going to be Stagey on the card, does pop that reflective shield ultimate. It gets a little bit more push in, but it's going to be hard for the rest of the team to try and regroup onto this card. Sneakante, as you can see, they're running back, so it is going to leave Stagey all alone and just picked apart there. So JJ Smooth has to get in the back lines and get some work done, because getting back onto this point and getting in a position for Sneakante to start netting up some of these kills again is going to be very, very difficult.
Yeah, and not only that as well, we saw that Stagey, when he popped his Jabali ultimate, he was more sitting on the payload, but JJ Smooth as well, behind him, off the payload, but just getting completely dominated by, I think it was 2 players. So when you're playing tanks as well, you would expect your tank player to be on you, trying to save you. Sindri popped Stagey, Jabali bullied down and out. Yeah, this payload push now towards around this, what, 70% or so. We've spoken to with like Shuri ages ago. This is about where things really struggle. And that's funny. I don't think JJ Smooth could quite fool Dylan there. Scardy on Scardy.
Yeah, JJ Smooth does get taken out. JJ's been trying to get to that cart and get any sort of push in. You can see that every time they come back, they're getting a little bit closer, a little bit further, but they really need to start getting a wriggle on. There's a minute 21, a minute 20 now on the clock. Sneakante has managed to get across, but Stagey's just been taken out pretty late. So now Sneakante's pretty alone here into a 1v1 situation. It's going to get ganked in a second from the back as well and get pushed and taken out. So they haven't been able to regroup, and it's going to be another spill over. You can see on the card is JJ Smooth. So they really need to regroup here and get a full 3v3 fight. They're just not able to get it at the moment.
Of course, regrouping for the fight is one thing as well. Like Stagey, he leaps in, right? I think his whole point here is just try to get on the point and try to push it. But then again, when your teammates die, eventually the enemies are going to start focusing on you. Just like this 2v1, one at dance. So what do you do now at this point? The game plan is falling apart, Ben. I mean, JJ as well. The whole point of him being on the payload, obviously, he needs a Jabali there to defend him. It has to be a whole team on. When you go individually, things don't work out so well. But Sneakante, if there's anyone who can do it, who can solo this, it might just be him.
Definitely needs another.
Point blank, yeah, probably not going to happen. Gatland going to bust them down to earth, 6 feet under, 20 seconds left to push it all the way. I'm not saying it's not doable, but definitely this is going to be one push for the ages.
No, the Ants go marching one by one as the time ticks down. They might not be able to get touched for an overtime if they do clear out JJ Smooth fast enough. You can see on the cart, JJ kind of just dancing around. Overtime does get taken down as JJ goes down, and that's going to signal the end of the map, and with it, the end of the series.
End of the series, the Wings of Jupiter taking it up above XCV, and good thing is, once again, double Elam XCV. They can face off against Infinity X in the lower bracket. But look, I mean, YOLO, we saw what happened there. It was a good job on both teams to actually take it to map 3. So in all senses, you could say that XCV, they are actually genuinely toe-to-toe against Wings of Jupiter. But towards the final part there, I think really the Vincent pick, that probably wasn't it, man. Didn't see much impact.
Yeah, exactly. Like especially when you get almost at that choke point where you've got to jump across the ramp, it's very easy to spot a Vincent and know he's coming and then prepare for him. With his only 2k HP, it's very hard for you to do anything really. But also, as you had mentioned briefly, they were really staggered. They didn't wait at all for the whole team to regroup. Sometimes you'd have a Hua on its own or a Jabali going on its own and then dying, and then you've got a Hua Ling and a Vincent without any tankiness to pop off really. And I feel like that's with newer teams. They don't really like know to wait an extra, say, 15 seconds to have all three of you make a push together, because it's a lot more effective. So it's a 3v3, and then maybe you've got more chance of getting a pit. But the Jabali still played pretty well, and I feel sorry for the Sindri, because I think she might have auto fire on and then keep shooting that reactive shield that Jabali uses when he uses his ultimate. But hey, it happens. And it was a good game. It was a good effort, especially from Hualin, getting a lot of kills. It's nice to see Gatlin getting double digits that game, because you don't really see a Gatlin in high level. So it's quite nice to see these new comps to talk about.
Yeah. Well, at the end of the day, I suppose like you gotta learn from the best in order to beat the best, right? Because Gatlin, Vincent, we have seen it a few times, but not much to high impact. And I guess time will tell today, especially when we do see Arsenal play, see what kind of strategy they've cooked up, what meta is going to be on their part. And you would think that's kind of a basic thing, right? That when you are a newer team coming to a 3v3, very team-based arena shooter, that you would want to play together instead of trying to go individual, especially considering how high DPS is for quite a lot of the heroes, that you would just get melted instantly. Yeah,
well, it depends. If you've been on an absolute heater in matchmaking before the game, and you've been 1v3ing people, maybe you go for those hero players and think, I'm the bee's knees, the top notch. I'm gonna take him out. And yeah, I mean, you can see the Hualin play again was pretty spot on. Yeah, some nice shots there, some clean taps, but yeah, just not being able to group up in time and get back together, play the objective. Just these small things that need to work on. But no, it was a great game to see, and interesting to see it. More Jabali, more tanky heroes being played as well, because yesterday and even our second game day, we didn't really see a lot of tanks. Yeah. It was maybe it was just Cole really has been the only player that's really stood out on those tanks as well.
Indeed. Huge lack of tanks, especially yesterday. Exclusive Eternals, once again, we keep talking about them, how because they just were never really pressured that much, they started just playing whatever they wanted, and for the most part, a lot of DPS characters, because they know they can out-aim, out-shoot, and just out-kill the opponents. So what's the point of defense? As Yolo said, best defense is offense sometimes, and they put that statement to full effect. So next up, we should be looking at the XCV versus Infinity game, which is I don't know, man. I'm holding my thoughts reserved on that, because Infinity to go up against ex-Arsenal as for the first game of the day, that has to be super daunting. It's one of the best teams, and going down 2-0 should be expected. But this is where we find out who is the first to get eliminated today. Will it be XCV? Will it be Infinity X? Guys, don't go away soon. After this break, we'll find out.
I'm on the prowl attack, no matter how we stand. I'm unstoppable. I'm unstoppable.
This life is a daydream. Our time is a precious thing. We're searching for meaning in the highs and the lows we've seen. When all is said and done, standing on the bright side, can't believe how far we've come. We've only just begun. See the world through new eyes, taking us to great heights. It's our time to leave it. We can fly through the ceiling. Our time to leave it. We can fly through the ceiling. Our time to leave it. We can fly through the ceiling. If we hold on to the feeling, hold on to the feeling. Our time to leave it. We can fly through the ceiling. We'll carry each other, carry each other. It's our time to leave it. We can fly through the ceiling. We'll carry each other, carry each other. Anything is possible, everything is new, and we'll carry each other, carry each other. Running wild into the night, in technicolor blue, and we'll carry each other, carry each other.
It's been a journey, seeing blurry people.
Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the T3 Arena League Phase 1, Week 2, Group D. We've just seen as well a little bit of gameplay, XEV versus Wings of Jupiter. Kind of a close affair, I would say. We saw the highlights. Both teams going toe-to-toe, everyone showing up. Different heroes being played, and that tends to be what we kind of do find to be trending amongst like the lesser-known teams and whatnot, compared to the high-tier teams. A lot of the exclusive clubs that play the same few characters, the same meta. Maybe it's a club thing, maybe it simply is. Simply because those heroes are a cut above the rest. That's what you want to be playing. Welcome back, I'm Digital, this is Smash, that's YOLO as well. So, we already know who the favorite team today is, and the next game coming up soon is going to be in the lower bracket of XEV versus Infinity X, so pretty keen to see that one. But before we go forward, any final thoughts about you from the previous matchup or even the highlights, Ben?
No, I mean, you're bang on in terms of a bit of a different meta. I mean, the exclusive club guys have been playing pretty much the same thing. All of the teams, they haven't strayed too far off the script in terms of that. And yeah, that could just be intra-club. You know, they're so experienced at knowing each other. They've kind of defined and flushed out their own meta internally and kind of just playing it through.
Yeah.
Whereas some of the other teams that aren't really in that exclusive clique, they've been playing stuff that's been a little bit out of left field because it is about what works for them as players personally as well. So what they feel comfortable on. And YOLO, just touching on that, the exclusive club guys, do you reckon they've flushed out their own little meta internally?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, they're constantly scrimming against each other, trying to get the better on each other, because there's, what, 12, 15 core players in exclusive that switch around teams and the whole time, and they scrimmage with each other the whole time. So they're always trying to get one up, find new different positions, new heroes that are meta on certain maps, trying to exploit them, as most top players do. So it's constantly shifting for them, and as soon as you catch on the wavelength, something's really good, you're going to keep up with it, because if you don't mirror matchups, sometimes it's just a disadvantage. So you've got to keep up with that, definitely. Yeah,
see, if a Skadi goes unchecked, no Skadi on the enemy team, no Hunter on the enemy team to kind of check them, then yeah, it can get a little bit messy as well, especially if they're on a bit of one of those heaters. Digi?
Yeah, pretty much. We've seen quite a few of those over the past few days, but I love these highlight clips. Have been from basically the same character, with the exception of T3 God on who was it? Not Diggy. Ya as well. Showcasing what really she is capable of, putting her on the map, quote unquote, and finally seeing that, oh, hang on, this character actually can kill either with primary fire or with the active abilities and whatnot. So she is actually a force to be reckoned with. Are we going to see her in high tier pro play against the better teams? Maybe not, but that's to be decided. Anywho, into the hero bans, XEV versus Infinity X.
Oh, here we go.
XEV, okay, a letter ban makes sense. Infinity X banning Jabali. Well, I don't have any specific feelings about this. Seems to be pretty stock standard to me. YOLO?
Yeah, it looks like that. I mean, banning an Alessa is always a top pick. It means you don't necessarily have to play a Skadi to counter an Aletta, and also you don't have her flying around the map with her ultimate with 5k healing, etc. So it's a very good pick to not having to deal with that. But then also the Jabali pick is great because obviously on control you have that Jabali pick mainly to tank, get on point, sit on point, and just wait for, as what happened in the escort last game.
Yeah.
You've got them waiting for the heroes to come back after they die and stay alive for just that little bit longer to keep the cap points coming in.
Yeah, that immovable object can be so hard to uproot. But I agree with you. The Aletta ban. I mean, Aletta is just such a nuisance to deal with. He's one of those heroes that has that massive skill ceiling. So if you are a good Aletta player, the world really is your oyster. And we've seen that already in previous days of the qualifier, where an Aletta has just taken over a lobby and just absolutely decimated. So removing that out is always a good move.
Yeah. From what I can tell as well, it seems like Aletta is, well, you know, a bit of a hard hero to play for sure. I don't really have any specific ill will against her, but I just still feel that characters like Judix or Skadi, like the more default strong hitting characters, one-shots, it does matter a lot more because it's like little chip damage in high burst amounts versus an instant chunk of the HP. And I think in a game like this, especially depending on the map size, you would see those hardcore hit scan characters come in effect a little bit more. Now, Yellow, talk me through XCV's pick because Sindri, I'm not convinced that she is probably the right pick on these control maps, Arctic Express of all, to start things off.
Well, I mean, there's certain positions where Sindri on Arctic Express is really overpowered. Like if you know the positions to place your turret on certain spawns, there's a right side peak where you've got to really overextend and take so much damage just to destroy this Sindri turret. So she can be really viable, especially when if your team gets team wiped, then you can place your second ultimate, get the shields, and then make a full push with 2k extra HP per hero. So it can be really effective, but so it also, as you were talking about earlier, when there's so many meta heroes on Arctic Express, sometimes using a Sindri is a bit of a disadvantage. When you don't have enough DPS, you don't utilize that turret, and you can be at a disadvantage for that for sure.
Well, speaking of disadvantage, already starting things off, XCV, once again, the Sentry on their side. They lose the initial cap, so... Oh, sorry, Infinity DX. Oh, no, it is XCV who lost the first cap, so... not off to a great start. Anywho, though, you would love to see that. PB in the triple, not quite Sneakante. Once again, a Sentry of all characters being altered, still manages to get back that final kill. Here comes Fort 1v1 Jabali on site, and I ain't gonna lie, that reload plus that maybe lower DPS is not working out in his favor. Ulti pops Jabali, reflective damage, not quite good enough, but they will get the kill. The teammates come in clutch. Pimi and Entei, they take over. It's a bloodbath.
Entei, a lot of space being created by this Jabali. You mentioned that just kind of like the immovable object sitting on point, just making sure that that's being contested, drawing all that attention, and then these two hit scans, Entei and Pemi, they just come through and clean up. The composition on the side of Infamous, they're just, it's a bit wacky, I should say. JJ Smooth hasn't really been able to get much done on the fort so far, trying to play around those shields, but the angles are just too strong at the moment. You see Entei on high, just unchallenged.
Yep, just basically holding down the angle from balcony, watching what unfolds on site, and then Hunter as well, mid to long range. That's where he really excels with that burst fire rifle. Jabali on-site close quarters combat. Not only is he tanky, he can just blast people, auto aim with the gun. Sindri, I mean, just gets melted for crying out loud. Pimi, I don't even know where this guy is, just strikes out of nowhere, and all the kills starting to flow their way. Fort, JJ Smooth, not much happening just yet. Still a donut currently on him for the scoreboard. Point blank versus Entei, and even you can see right now, Ben, the DPS, it's just not there. I mean, Fort's a cool character, I love him. The ult's great, basically a gravity ball, and it took that much effort just to take down the Jabali. 99% cap for crying out loud. It's a long way to go for XCV.
Yeah, but they do get it, and I mean, Fort is going to hold it down now. A bit of a more, I guess, a more advantageous position to hold with the Fort. Of course, retaking can be quite difficult, but holding it down is really what this hero is designed for. And they get some of these alternate angles as well. You can see the Sentry just gets picked apart there. Really, did not a great example, but had that positioning on high where they wanted to play. But it's just too much damage coming out, too much pressure coming out from Entei, who managed to take that high ground, and with it will take that first point on this control map.
Yep.
Wow, that was pretty dominant, actually.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was, and once again, I feel that for the side of Infinity X, it simply came down to a difference in damage output. Even though they had tech, it didn't really matter too much. They still had Hunter, they still had Scotty laying down fire, and then once they had the point under control, they started to play around the edges, just to watch over Jabali for the most part and pick off anyone who tries to break that shield and get him off the points. And YOLO, man, I gotta ask you, what's the story with the Fort pick? It's the first time we've seen him in the entire league, and not a great start.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I've got to say, XUC got pretty unlucky there with the Jabali ban and then playing JJ against a Hunter, which can have vision on the JJ, and then you've got Jabali, which can pretty much auto-fire a JJ in its like invisibility. So they got pretty unlucky in that, but it just shows that Infinity are just playing the game. Like, they've seen that Jabali for XCV play very well the last couple of games, so they've banned him. What's he going to play? He picked Fort, which is interesting. There's a lot more better picks, like a Ruby, for example, would have done very well against that team.
Yeah.
But so Fort was really interesting. He used to be meta when he had a lot more damage burst potential, but now when it's only about 500 per hit and then 1,000 total, and like really slow DPS, and it's really easy to dodge the shots, especially when they're using like speedy characters, small hitbox characters, it just really wasn't working for them at all.
Yeah, and we saw the shield as well. It's just really hard to use in terms of you place it down, and then you kind of got that vulnerability in terms of if the enemy team pushes around it, they find the different angles to surround it. It can be quite hard. That portable is just not chop on these maps, especially when you're trying to retake. Enemies already have all the flanks covered.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, Fort didn't work out, but if they can take the first capture on some of these points and kind of narrow down a chokehold, then maybe, that's where the Fort can come into play. But you do need to kind of set up a forward offense hold, like almost a spawn trap, to kind of funnel them into that shield. And not sure that they're going to be able to do that. They need to win that rollout in this next map to make sure that happens.
Yeah, look, in my personal opinion as well, just to add on to a further point about the full pick, is that not only, the shield, it's immobile compared to, say, Jabali's shield, which you can place it up anytime you want, take it away, to basically play around that little strategy and movements. And, of course, Ruby, her shields, you can pull them up anytime you want. You also get a passive buff from the shields. The thing about Fort is that not only is it immobile, it's also his own projectiles from his fire. Yeah, and YOLO was saying, they've been nerfed now. They don't do as much damage as they did in the past. But the other issue is they're so slow firing for crying that loud. Short range, sure, it should be alright. Long range, you're not having a great time. And now coming into map 2, Elephant Astana looks to be a bit of an issue because XCV lost the rules. Once again, that's a different character on the medic, I think. And on Chemist, sorry. That ain't good. But anywho, even if they were locked into the previous characters, I don't think that would win out in terms of just the hero picks, because, say for Fort, you do have his ultimate up. There's that gravity bomb. The main issue still is, do you have enough DPS to take advantage of that and capitalize? When you're in the gravity bomb, you're stuck in there, sure, but then if Jabali puts up a shield or something, how do you break through that and to basically go for a full team wipe? It's not as easy as it seems.
No, certainly not. I guess one of the strategies they could try and use with the Fort is dropping the shield up on the high ground for their hit scan, for that DPS players to play around, while the Fort kind of tries to contest the point themselves. I mean, that could be a way of playing Fort. It's a bit different. Instead of using the shield for yourself, you're using it for the teammates, but unfortunately, we're not going to see much more, as a hero change did come through. Stagey plug needs to get the reading glasses on. Unfortunately, sometimes this happens, but can't change heroes mid-map on the control.
It'd be like that, and YOLO, we've seen this happen a few times over the league. It is what it is, but I want to ask you this, though. With their current setup, why the Chemist?
Well, I mean, this is usually a Chemist with a tank is really strong. And like the Chemist has so much healing, especially with the passive for 50% more healing. It's really overpowered. But with a Fort, it sort of defeats the point of it, because you're meant to be with someone with high damage, high burst. You get the heals in so they can go really aggro, push forward. But then with Fort, when you've got a shield that you place and you can't run past it, it sort of defeats the point of that ability, because you have to stay back, and then you can't use Chemist as well because she's not doing damage. She's just healing if you're staying at a distance with a low DPS character. So on that point, it didn't really make much sense. I think it would have been better not having a JJ, because obviously Hunter and Jabali counted in last game. So I think Chemist was a better pick, but definitely I don't think it would have been a win.
Well, seems like YOLO's made the call. Our armchair expert basically not not much would have changed regardless of the different hero pick. So I guess that's the Control best of 3 series done and dusted, going 2-0. Technically 1-0, but we will take that if you're Infinity X, right? Now onto Payload Escort. We haven't really seen how these two teams play as much. We have seen one, XCV, not so much as Infinity X, but with the hero pick bans, it's kind of predictable, like we talked about earlier, that Infinity X, they would ban out the Jabali for XCV. So in that kind of a situation, seriously, the Fort again? No way.
No, surely they pick Ruby this time around. They've kind of, hopefully they've realized the error of their ways, knowing that Fort isn't kind of all it's cracked up to be. Maybe they've seen a bit of Cole play Ruby as well. Cole on the Ruby on the payload maps was just incredible. So hopefully they have gone back to the drawing board, picked the Ruby, or if the Jabali isn't banned, pick that out. Yep. Hopefully they get to play a bit of Jabali because it was very strong. We can see now some of the highlights. You can see the Jabali strength from the side. Well, from Sid coming out. And it was great. It was powerful, and unfortunately, you'll see a lot of Fort in the kill feed on the wrong side of it in this one. See Sid just tanking that gravity well as well.
Yeah,
just tanking that ultimate. Like
even on that moment, right? You're in the gravity well, and Syndra had to put out so much damage with the primary fire just to get that kill into Jabali. It could have been so much faster. 3 shots to the head, maybe 4 from Skadi would have sealed the deal in a blink of an eye, and it's just such a stark contrast in terms of speed coming out from Infinity X and XCV. And look, man, it's rough like that, isn't it, YOLO?
Yeah, it really is. I mean, they've really got to win this Payload Escort game, and if Jabali gets banned for them, I feel like they've got to really think about their team composition and sort that out, because they've been counter-comped for a few games now, and they cannot afford to lose, otherwise they'll have to try again in the wildcard phase. So they've definitely, and also I think they should pay attention to what Infinity are using and maybe do a counter pick on what's hitting them the hardest. Maybe ban the Hunter, ban the Scaddy, and do what Infinity have done to them, because that's the way that they're going to win this game, by playing the mental game, make them have to think about what they're going to change, put the ball in their park, and make them feel the pressure.
You know, while we're waiting as well for Payload Escort to come through, in terms of the hero bans, I've been thinking over the past few days as well, maybe a default ban that probably has to come through for every single team. I honestly reckon you have to insta-ban Skadi. You can ban anything else, which probably wouldn't have the same effect versus getting Skadi out of the way ASAP. It's just a whole kit. It's super high DPS from a primary fire. You have active ability like the web trap as well. It locks you in. It does damage, and you're vulnerable to get 3 taps to the head. And then the ultimate, the one of that, that can instantly destroy a whole team to boot. But on that note as well, before we go forward on that topic, Infinity X, they're going to be banning Jabali, sure, to be expected. XCV, they banned Sindri, which this is
bit of an odd one, isn't it? Yeah. Well, they banned a letter in the first map, if I'm not mistaken. So it is a bit of a different one. Maybe they know that Infinity X have a pocket strategy with Sindri, or not too sure. But a letter's going to get through. We'll have to see if they pick that up this time around. But yeah, as you mentioned, the Skadi, it is just as safe as houses character, right?
Yeah,
I mean, that
so
hero
good.
just deals a lot of damage. It's easy to execute. Very, very fits it everywhere, basically. So yeah, I guess you could use it looking at using a ban on that, but then you do let through things like the Aletta, like Johnny Jet on control as well, which can be quite powerful. So you know, damned if you do, damned if you don't. I think for InfoSex, they are definitely in the right here, just banning out that Jabali. It seems like XCV play around that a lot, and it's one of their keys to victory. YOLO, are you surprised by some of these bans here?
Well, we all expected the Jabali ban here. I mean, it worked really well for them on control. They're going to do it again, put a lot of pressure on them having to pick a different hero. Maybe they'll hope that you pick Fort again, and they'll pick a comp to counter Fort, because if they do, I feel so sorry for them. Fort will be useless in Payload Escort. But Sindri is an interesting ban, because I would have banned, say, more of a core character that gave them the most problems, because in the other games, Sindri hasn't really been a problem too much for them. Like, they haven't been getting many picks, many kills, so I would say banning a Scally would have been their best shout. Or maybe just counter-picking and banning a Jabali from both sides would have been best.
Yeah, maybe, because, like, look, I gotta be honest, the Sindri would... I've yet to see a really good Sindri in the entire league thus far. Maybe we're going to see Exclusive Arsenal put on a show for us, but every single other team, it's just been City's just been there. The turret's been there. Nothing really too amazing coming out of her. The only massive plays we see is whenever Cindy pops the ulti, and then she has that laser beam, basically turrets and whatnot. It's to melt people, but aside from that, it doesn't really seem to be present in a lot of the team fights and whatnot. Even the payload escort on defense side. Maybe in the future, if it was going to be 4v4, 5v5, that story might change. But on that note as well, Yolo, I want to hear your thoughts. Hero bans. I think we talked about earlier a few weeks ago that maybe in the future we could see like more than one hero band coming through. That would definitely spice up the compositions for especially the top tier teams. But for the most part, if you do have one, like you gotta agree with me, right? Like Skadi has to be that instant ban.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting you say that though, because I mean, I would have said naturally a lesser, because I know these like qualifier tourneys haven't haven't been 4 strong teams competing against each other, but I feel like in the final, Aletta will have a 100% pick rate and will be the one to ban, because she always is. In the past like tournaments, she's so strong. If you don't have an Aletta, you're immediately at a disadvantage. Like it used to be the whole point of picking a SCAD before people realized how good SCAD actually was on her own. You would pick a SCAD to counter the Aletta, and I feel like she will be banned quite a lot. But I agree with you completely. If you have a SCAD, it should be banned completely. But then if you ban the SCAD and then they have an Aletta, what are you going to do? Because that's the best counter, so it's pretty difficult ball game to play.
Pretty much. So damned if you don't, damned if you won't. Maybe 2 hero bans. Come on, let's see it happen in the future. Anywho, though, currently payload escort, Broward stock, and XCV on defense. Hualing, Gatlin, and Judix, pretty stock standard. Looks to be good. We really yet to see Gatlin as well. You know, put on a huge show in terms of DPS and whatnot. But as for the side of Infinity, once again, just really standard composition. You got Jabali, and you have basically 2 rather relatively high DPS characters to play around him. And the payload yet to be contested. Looking for picks, right hand peak advantage. Good start, but poking product.
Yeah, we already see some of these shots coming through and some of this payload contention. But you see, they take the time now to clear out the high ground, and then they come to the cart to clear. That's good strategy there, because it's gonna be a lot easier if they just went straight to the cart to fight on cart. They don't have that great positioning. The defenders are going to play around the cart, buy time, waste it out. But Sid going up and clearing the high ground, giving Entei and Premi the best chance to shoot down on their enemies, is going to give the best angles. I do like the Hualing pick. I think that's a bit more of an ease of execution type style. They're going to be able to break that shield pretty quick for Sid as well with those heavy damage shots. But Infamous Exia, they look like they know what they're doing in terms of strategy.
Yep, this push is going just undenied, uncontested for the longest time. Crying out loud, 2 minutes left, and they're already
the
about
reflect
to end the
shield
first
comes
checkpoint.
up.
Yeah,
so it's a 2-piece.
How do you get 2?
That's a 2-piece feed.
Oh, come on, man. You can't be serious. Yeah, definitely don't shoot the Jabali ultimate shield when it's up, and 100% reflect damage. They got melted instantly. This is rough. A whole team wipe, and 2 of those kills weren't even like shots fired from the side of XCV.
They get the cap too. The last second contest doesn't come in. They don't have that mobility to get those contests fast through. So you see now, yeah, Sid might go down. They might get the reset, which they won't, because Entei is just popping off on this Hunter. Has to play around this shield and wait for it to go out. But yeah, Scotty is going to go around the corner and get a freebie here as the net lands. Pemi and Entei, they're playing around their teammates incredibly well. There's always one with Sid playing that shield, and the other is going on these flanks, finding these angles to really punish the side of XCV.
Yep, they got it. The game plan, it's solid. Payload escort, indeed. And of course, flank watch, get info, early damage, and then everyone just collapse, focus on a single target. XJJ Smooth.
Pemi's peeling off on the prowl as well. You see the Entei playing at the back is going to get dropped very, very low, but will survive. JJ Smooth needs to get out of there on a slither of HP. You see Pemi just on the prowl, on the move, ready to find a different angle to play from. Happy to leave Entei and Sid on the cart. Yeah, you see these shots coming through, the big critical numbers. It's a 3rd kill. Make it a 4th? No, it does escape just around the corner. The one of dance just misses, but the flick hits. Sid's shield going down low, but
oh my goodness.
all over but the crying as they cap it out in 2 minutes 50 with a big time bank on the clock as well. So that is an absolute rapid push. XCV back against the wall.
Yeah.
Do or die time.
Honestly, mate, is not looking great at all. That push coming out from Infinity, uncontested for the most part. And then when things were starting to go bad, once again getting staggered for XCV, some of the players, they started going at it alone individually. And, well, that was the end of that for the most part. YOLO, guess this could be it. But the Osis pick, that might be a different change-up.
Yeah, I mean, just going back to the last game, they just had so much momentum, didn't they? They just kept it going throughout the entire time. They got height at the end, getting up there. The Scaddy got the picks on Gatlin, and they just had so much control. And I mean, I feel bad for them again having the auto fire and the Jabali ult, but it just does suck. And Hualing using the wrong ult as well. Against, like, if you're on defense, I would suggest using the tornado ult, because then you can cancel Jabali's shield, cancel his ultimate ability by hitting him in that tornado, stunning him. That would have done a lot better for the team personally. But now we're seeing an OSAS, which is very interesting. Maybe it's a bit of a last resort sort of thing.
Maybe. Infinity, they shouldn't be struggling too much, I suppose. Maybe the OSAS from Sid is to allow them to get the fast rotations as always, the teleporter. We'll see if he can land some nutty shots, but right off the bat, man, that's big damage. JJ Smooth, just locked into a corner. Not too sure what he was trying to achieve there. No stun, as far as I'm concerned, and that's it. Damage so far going so well for the side of Infinity. XCV barely yet to get out of the spawn just yet. We're seeing Stagey on Judix trying to go for maybe a long-range pick, to not much value to say the least. Flash comes through, only buying a little bit more time. Yeah, though, here comes XJJ Smooth, and Entei will take insta-melt. Oh, boy.
Yeah, they are getting picked apart a little bit. Of course, it is going to be Snikante answering back, gets one at least, and is going to be able to try and take control of this high ground. Entei with that right-hand pick does throw out a bit of util, but Pemi on the prowl again on the flank. Yeah, so they are working incredibly well together, and you can see the communication coming through as well. But on the defense, they are doing a bit of a strategy of offense is the best defense. Sid is posted up, has the teleporter now active as well, and it is just going to be we're just going to kill you before you get in the cart. We're going to hold this high ground. We're going to shoot you as you're coming out of spawn like this. And you see a 5k O streak. Yeah, Snikante gets one back, but that teleporter is going to be active pretty quickly, and Entei is going to be back pretty quick. So any cart push they get here, as Sid is just holding his angle, anyone who drops onto that cart just gets taken out immediately, and Pemi on the high ground still.
Yeah. And then again, the other issue was that the payload is only now getting pushed. So will they have enough time at the end of the day if it goes all the way? Probably not anymore at this rate. So could be it. Anywho, though, oh, goodness gracious me. Not only were they just slow to get off the mark, it was just full-on aggression, full-on countering from Infinity. Damage across the board. And Sid, I mean, he only has one kill. Hasn't had to do much just yet, but really just eyes on Pemi, eyes on Entei as well. Those guys are just straight melting whoever it is coming at them from XCV. That seems to be the tail of this series, at least. Well,
Sid can sit here, and anything that comes onto the cart has a decent angle on. Does get taken out in the duel, but again, Pemi gets the trade back pretty easy, and a trade for the defenders isn't too bad with this teleporter active. Usually, if you're getting trades as the offensive team, your spawn's going to be closer and it's going to be better, but because of this Osis, the spawn is going to be close. But you see Snikante doing a little bit of hard work, a bit of heavy lifting, but doesn't realize that Pemi's still around, gets shot in the back, taken out, that teleporter coming into play once more. You see it now, Cart in a really rough position. It's hard to get pushed through here. JJ Smooth has not been having the game that they would like. The stagey plug going down there on the goose eggs. 0-6, 0-6.
Yep. 50 seconds. That's it. Maybe, for the most part. Good net as well. The instant melt. I have to really give props where, you know, it's due. Entei and Pemi. These two playing off of each other. Util one, the other person shoots. Sonar grenade as well. It's just unstoppable, unrelenting. It doesn't matter if you try to group together, and because obviously they're getting staggered for one. But the thing is, even if they do group together, here comes the Wonder Dance. Here comes the Sonar grenade. Entei is going to start bursting you down. So does Pemi come in, and when they're being like stun locked and whatnot, Sid long distance. He's going to lay down covering fire. Kills are good, but 10 seconds left. Oh, that looks like we are going to have to say goodbye to XCV. We know it. I think the game knows it, but it's just not official yet.
It will be now. As round 2 ends, it will be XCV leaving us and dropping down. They will have a chance in that wild card, of course, but it is going to be a tough run back, as some of these wild card teams are pretty scary.
Yep.
Great gameplay shown there, though. They worked around Sid really well with the utility, and then we have Entei, we have Pemi just laying down that heat.
Yep.
They're going to be a team to watch going through, and they could be a team to watch as well coming in later in the day versus exclusive Arsenal. I know they've played up against each other once already, which was a 2-0, but I mean, they could have learned from that and come back, because they do look like they got solid fundamentals.
They do indeed, but then again, Wings of Jupiter, that's also the other team that we are really excited to see how well they perform. But for the most part, I guess, YOLO, XCV, the pace, not quite there, the grouping, not quite there, and it really is, you know, a sad sight to see, especially at the start in the Control Best of 3 series, when you really can set the pace and the aggression, set the tone for the entire series. They lost out on the hero picks.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it is unfortunate, and I'm sure we'll see them again in the future in the competitive scene, hopefully. But as you were saying, yeah, they just haven't really been on the ball as much as Infinity have. I mean, even with Infinity picking that Osas, a bit of a troll pick, him going 1 and 3, XCV had the opportunity to maybe capitalize on that, but they weren't able to. So it's just, I feel like it's more of a communication thing. They're great players, but as you were saying, like throughout the games, that they've been really staggered. They've not been playing together as much. Maybe they're not in voice chat. I don't know, but yeah, there definitely is that lack of communication that Infinity have just shown that they've got.
And you can see in the Infinity's comps there, it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Indeed.
They've got that great, solid, fundamental composition that they're working around. Definitely teams coming up against Infinity are going to have to look at that Jabali ban as something to take very, very seriously, because it is something that they're anchoring around and playing their hit scan heroes, their DPS heroes around very, very well. Will they be able to transition over to a Ruby and play the same kind of strategy? We don't know. But yeah, it does look like Infinity were just a level above, essentially. Wings of Jupiter versus Arsenal, ex-Arsenal, I think that's going to be a bit of a banger too, I think.
Well, that's the idea, hopefully, but Wings of Jupiter, they took it to 2-1 over XCV, so XCV probably, I don't know, maybe played a bit better. I don't want to call it a mental thing and maybe demoralizing getting sent down to the lower bracket versus Infinity, but taking one, you know, map off of Wings of Jupiter, so that might be a sign that Wings of Jupiter maybe not on the same level as Infinity. I don't want to, maybe just a bold prediction coming out from me, but for the most part, you know, ex-Arsenal, they should theoretically have this in the bag. I would be surprised if they didn't. And yeah, YOLO, any final comments on that matchup that just occurred again?
Yeah, I feel like it'll definitely maybe be a little bit one-sided. Obviously, Wings of Jupiter have got the momentum, they've got the morale, they won their last game, so maybe that will give them a bit of a boost mentally, and that they, you know what, they can win this. But I feel like even with Myron not playing, you've got Jizuki, you've got Kunai, and you've got Bide, who are just great players. I mean, it'll be maybe a bit tough. Maybe they can like try and counter pick. I feel like that's their best option. They've got to maybe target a banning and a letter so Kunai can't play that and exploit that. And I feel like they've just got to get on that counter, because that's their best chance really. If they can counter pick, maybe it'll bring the boundaries a bit closer together, so they've got a chance.
Well, you know, YOLO, keyword there is maybe, and guess we'll find out after this break, guys. Don't go away.
tried to keep me down. But through the drama, yeah, your karma's come to get you now. It's time I take the crown. I put the work in.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, hope you enjoyed your break. Got some food in ya, got some bananas or water, whatever it is that you like. Re-energized now for probably the matchup that we've all been looking forward to seeing on stream. And also some really good news. Turns out for exclusive Arsenal, Myron, he will be playing for the game 2. He wasn't present game 1, maybe guy was just having a break or something, getting some food in some, God knows what it is, but they seems to be just doing just fine. Now, finally, we get to see the big dog on stream for the first time, I think, in quite a while. You get to see how they perform and their opponents' Wings of Jupiter. Best of luck going their way. I'm Digital, Smash, and YOLO. YOLO, let's start with you. How do you think this one's going to go?
I mean, I think it will be a bit one-sided, honestly, but it just depends on the comps. And I feel like exclusive Arsenal, as long as they play with a good mentality, they're not too overconfident. Maybe they'll start dying and then they'll lose the mentality. They'll get a bit frustrated. Maybe that'll be their demise. But I feel like they've done this so many times. They've played this game so many times on tournaments, on stream, various examples. They know how to handle under pressure, and I'm sure they'll just come out with a 2-0.
Now, hang on. You said that these guys, they might be prone to going on a mental tilt for a team this big.
Well, I mean, in any game, right? You've got players that when you're at the top level, if you like start maybe not playing well, maybe get a negative KD, it can work on your brain, and like especially if you've got such a high prestigious like thought that most people are like, oh my god, I want to be like him. And then if you start like maybe not doing as well, you'll feel it. And like some of these players, maybe like at the start, like say a year ago, maybe have like not been as mature, and then they've definitely matured a lot more like recently. But I feel like it's definitely still there. There's an option of, especially maybe in the finals, that we're going to see some tilts potentially.
Yeah, I mean, that's always the way when you're the big dog and you come in and something's not going your way. Sometimes it can get a little bit, it plays on the egos a little bit. Nobody wants to be the one to go, if you're the best team in the world, supposedly, then nobody wants to be the one to go negative against maybe an unknown and up-and-coming team. Definitely can play it on the mental side of things. As for Myron coming in, I mean, they must be paying him by the match, really, because they must be blowing out the budget. Only bring him out for the real hard ones, otherwise just keep him in the back pocket. But no, can't wait to see the superstar on show.
The Cristiano Ronaldo treatment. Now, guys, let's get into the hero pick bans. Well, the bans for the most part, coming from both these sides. Now, if you're... Yep, there we go.
That's a good ban. That's, 100% win rate. It's much needed. You got to take that one out. Diggy, of course, just been an absolute menace. So, good ban there from exclusive Arsenal because, 100% win rate. You wouldn't want to come up against Diggy.
2 games in which Diggy has been in. 2 games she has won. Yeah. So, I know, man. The stats don't lie, to say the least. But the Wings of Jupiter banning a letter makes perfect sense, doesn't it, YOLO?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think exclusive definitely very scared of Diggy. It's a very intimidating character, and they could potentially lose if they played Diggy. So I think very smart move on them. But more on the Aletta side of things, definitely banning Aletta so Kunai can't run around the map and hammer them with like a crazy KD. I think that's definitely a great shout from them, and very smart pick in terms of the start of counterplay and the start of the mental game, really.
Yeah.
Well, it does mean exclusive Arsenal, they ban Diggy, of course, which means TWJ can't play it, but they can still play it. We could still see some Diggy coming out of exclusive Arsenal, and maybe they just don't want to get counter Diggy. Because, I mean, you don't want to lose the Diggy 1v1. That would be a shocker. So, exclusive Arsenal, maybe they're protecting their pride a little bit, so when they go onto the Diggy, they don't have that fear of losing the Diggy 1v1, the head-to-head. Diggy duel.
If I had like $1 every single time you said Diggy, I swear to God, I'll probably.
It's just a good word. It's just an absolutely fantastic word. I mean, it's an absolute banger. And I mean, Diggy's character model, everything about Diggy is perfect. She's flawless. So more Diggy, please.
Flawless
you
stats,
like her
to
in
say the
LA
very
Gex.
least, to start things off. Exactly. Well, hey, look, at the same time, right, in terms of hero bans, we touched on this a little bit earlier. That's one hero ban might not be enough, because if the Wings of Jupiter, you ban a letter, great, thank God, amen. That you can't have some of the players of ex-Arsenal running around circles around you, dominating you, and chipping you away, death by 1,000 cuts. But what about Judith? What about Scotty? What about I don't know how big the roster is, but what about
JJ?
and JJ
Yeah,
as well.
you got lots of different things coming out. That
What do you go from there?
But I mean, you know, each their own. We get to see a whole array with less bands. We get to see any possibilities coming through as well. So
yeah.
we get to see all the players on their comfort picks as well. A letter ban. What do you think we're going to see if a letter's banned? Do you think we're going to see some maybe more Skadi Hunter, or do you think they're going to go silly with it? Pick Diggy, pick Osus on control, pick maybe a fort themselves.
Yeah, I feel like it could be slightly verging on the more troll side of things, which we could expect that, and maybe we'll see, say, I don't know, a fort, or maybe we'll see like an Iris, Chemist, JJ,
Ooh.
some like random stuff like that. It could be quite amusing, but definitely if they do something like that, it gives all a chance for Wings of Jupiter to just come out and win. So I'm all down for it.
Yeah.
Close again.
Certainly does.
And I guess if there is any time to have some fun, it is when you're in the upper bracket as well. Because, like, say, if Wings of Jupiter, you know, give them a little bit of an ego boost, they take it over exclusive Arsenal, they can still go full on sicko mode in the lower bracket and just completely sweep out. Well, that's the theory at least. And to know as well, I think earlier on we heard a rumor that in the past when exclusive Arsenal played, they were having so much fun and just that confidence, they'd let the other team pick their heroes. Like, that's kind of like the reverse mental game, and goddamn.
There we go. Got some Myron on the action. Myron T3 in the lobby.
Oh boy. Okay. YOLO. Explain this.
It looks like it could be a bit of bullying going on. I mean, this is what's really good for Wings of Jupiter currently is that they've got a Christina to counter those tanks. She's got so much DPS. She'll blast through the Ruby shield. She'll blast through Fade. But Fade, Ruby, and Skadi, you've got Fade that's going to be constantly using his ability to bash and stun people through walls. You've got Skadi that's going to CC people, net people. You've got Ruby with the shields. They're going to just dominate.
Double
completely.
tank. Really?
Well, let's see. But is Ruby really a tank for the most part? She has tank abilities. She herself, though, is quite a force to be reckoned with. Oh, my goodness. Well, Renegado melted. Diavolo running for the hills. And Dylan, maybe the only player left who can stand against the aggression of exclusive Arsenal. Myron, he does go down. Oh, my God. Myron washed, maybe?
Myron's only 1-1 right now. It's really feeling the heat, really feeling the pressure. See, bit of Ruby action coming through. They're not capping the point out just yet, though. They need to get on that, take the objective, as Dylan's down on it now. It's a 2v1 situation. Ruby's going to have to play around the shields pretty well. Of course, the shield's inside, so we'll need to reposition that. Does get back to safety, but the cap is there. TWJ on the board already. But Myron, here comes the charge. Does manage to knock Dylan back, but Dylan's pretty safe. Saves houses.
Yeah, Dylan, really good clapback against the dash pin there. Thankfully, he was quite a bit far away from a wall. He got forced back, but at the end of the day, the Myron Cannibal from a long distance away really couldn't land. Finally, the side being contested, which is kind of surprised at how late it took both teams to actually get onto it. Wings of Jupiter, 11%, not too bad, but Exclusive Arsenal maintaining control should be pretty stock standard. And I really like how they're using the Ruby shields as well. Basically, instead of using it on the side in front of them, they're actually using it to lock off like those mid lanes, those narrow corridors, and denying entry for the most part. So you have to break through an extra barrier, waste some ammo before you can even break through onto site. From behind, Kazuki, damage, Myron and B-Day to finish off. Looks to be pretty stock standard what we've seen from higher tier teams. Once you maintain side control, just start playing around the edges and just map control.
Yeah, I do have a little bit of toxicity here, as you can see on your screen right now. This Skadi skin is shocking. That should be banned. The rubber chicken on the back, it's not doing it for me. Yeah, it's shocking. It is terrible. Dylan will go down. And more dominance coming out from the side. Myron doing well. Doing God's work.
Yeah, pretty well.
Bide's quiet, but that's alright. There has to be one.
Diablo as well, despite being on Christina, currently 0-0. Even in deaths, is that right? No, might have an issue.
Something's building up. I don't know if they've disconnected or something, but
yeah, perhaps.
Have to see.
Anywho, it might be a little bit too late to get back into it, considering how far this game's gone. But for the most part, you know, the kill's not really going their way, and oh, the suck as well into the corner, the pin, the cannonball. Yeah. That's the Fade combo executed to perfection. Oh, so it is glitched after all, but Diablo, we don't know what his actual score is. But regardless,
it's not going to be great.
It ain't looking good. 87% and building. Wings of Jupiter, they are on the site. Contested, unfortunately. Fire from everywhere. B-Day still locking it down. Here comes Kazuki. about to die. Diablo with the chase down. Myron misses the pin. He himself at risk of going down. Basically, no HP left, and he still survives. Begging for that 2k pot. He does get it. Live to fight another day.
No, he's fine. He'll walk it off. Oh. Nah, not walking that one off.
Down on the steps.
No, Bide goes down on the point as well, so the capture will get ticked over, you'd imagine, by Dylan here. So that will extend the game out a little bit longer. Now, they'll get them some percentage here as well, so a little bit to play with. See, now starting to spew back, starting to come back onto the point. Bide's just been playing around in these corridors with these full shields. Does manage to get one as Myron's starting to lay suppressing fire from on high. Some cannonballs there that would make the British Armada proud.
And that's it. They got the first few opening picks. Jumped onto the site. Cap it. Regain. And they even emote as well. I think that's the first time I've seen players actually emote in the entire league. So that's pretty neat to see. But for the most part, YOLO, you don't look very surprised.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a bit of a violation, really, isn't it? I mean, it's a long day for them. They had a good start, but you didn't really get the Christina going because Christina works so well when you've got the control and then she can just hammer down one choke point and make sure that no one can go through that with her sticky grenades and her normal grenades. So that when she wasn't able to do that, I don't know what KD she ended up having, but I don't think it was that good of one. And also, like Myron and Shizuki and Bai, they were just playing so well. Like they weren't playing together really. They were playing independently, but you could see that there was some sort of cohesion there, that they knew what they were doing, and they were pretty confident, pretty relaxed. They weren't like throwing at all. I thought Myron was maybe selling for the start, but he ended up doing pretty well there, and I feel like they were just so comfortable. Like they had no pressure on them at all. Even if they died, they were like, okay, it's fine. We'll give them 40%. Who cares really?
That's it. As long as it doesn't get to 100, they're pretty happy with proceedings. Playing the double tank though, it's a bit of a slow roll composition, and you mentioned that they weren't really playing together, which could be the strength of double tank really, is just kind of like apes together strong balling through. But of course they'll spread out and kind of looking for those 1v1 duels. You saw Bai just playing around in those corridors with those shields, just kind of beckoning you to come in, come closer, try and get that kill, and then really play to the advantage because the shield's up. You have to run through it, wear some headshots for that. No, next map though, do you think anything's going to change? Fade could be pretty strong here if they do try and contest that 5k room. That's kind of where Fade comes into their own. So YOLO, what do the enemy team have to do to try and counter this double tank composition?
Killing them would be a good start. Honestly, if you just do that, then they've won the game. But I feel like Christina's really not as good on the second map that's coming out. So because it's a lot more open, it's a lot harder to hit these grenades. And I feel like maybe it'll be say harder for them to win. But I feel like and that's probably why that last game as you were saying, that double tank together is really strong. But if they've got Christina with the splash damage, maybe that's why they were playing separately, so they couldn't get splashed by Christina at once. They would just split up and they could win their 1v1s a lot easier.
Well, looks like they read the game plan pretty well for exclusive Arsenal, so they didn't really look like they struggled. And then again, my mind always goes back to B-Day, considering how she plays Ruby. Definitely a very different style compared to what I've seen with especially Cole, right, from exclusive Argon. Is that I mentioned it earlier on mid-game, is that she used the shield instead to block off a single narrow corridor, and that basically denies entry for the most part. And when you're in these narrow spaces versus a Ruby with the 3 cards and everything, point blank, it does a lot of damage, especially if you hit the crit, and it could just instantly, I don't know, like a 2-shot wipe for the most part a large portion of the roster. So maybe I'm expecting B-Day to start contesting inside the 5k room, just block that off, no entry for Wings of Jupiter. And on sites, look, it's a bit open this time round. Kazuki, he was present, not to great effect though, not like definitely highlight reel, clip Scotty gameplay, and everyone was just chiming in. And if anything, I think it was Myron with the cannonballs that was actually applying a lot more pressure towards Wings of Jupiter than anything else. But look, like you said, I fully agree with you, YOLO. Over towards map 2, Elephant, Astana, Christina. It just seems to be these other teams who are obviously the less favored in the matchup from Prestige or what we can see from the games, always seem to tend to struggle with just DPS.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Christina, if you hit her shots, has one of the most high DPSs in the game, but it's hitting those shots when there's a bit of delay, there's the trajectory, and if you're not, say, on that level where like the top 1%, because she's a very high skill cap hero, if you're not doing that, if you're not hitting her shots, then her DPS goes pretty much to 0. So it's definitely that very dependent on how good you are at that character, as you were saying. And I feel like, I mean, we'll just see Ruby running around with Scaddy most of the time, and then
Yeah.
Fade probably Myra just on his own, having a good time.
Yeah, Myron does seem to like to go out on their own and try and explore, do a little bit of adventuring. Now, in terms of the pronunciation of Bide, is it Bide or is it Bidet?
Bide.
Now
Say it.
that one's caused a little bit of concern in me as I'm hearing you say bidet, and I'm like, that makes sense as well. The English language is quite difficult to comprehend sometimes, so we'll have to get some clarification if it is bide or is it bidet. As an Australian, I do want to say bide, but I'm also butchering the English language because I am Australian. Now, Myron on the point, laying it down, hot and heavy.
Yep.
See those 8 balls coming out. Reading the future, and I tell you what, it's a pretty grim future. But okay, I say that Myron gets taken out.
Okay.
Diavolo has managed to get the best of him. Dylan, with the good skin for Sky, is on the board with 2 and zip to start it off.
Oh well, just wait till you see Shizuki soon, inevitably.
Get it off
Or
the
maybe,
screen.
it's BD. How about that?
BD, and
Nice ulti.
don't give a
Myron. Oh, Renegado guys, put him
Oh,
into the
bang.
wall. 180, instant pin, instant knockout. Dylan exploded it within the 5k room. Close quarters combat versus Fade tends to never go well, regardless of who you are.
Get it off.
That's a counter cap now coming from exclusive Arsenal. 1v1. Nice one dance. The shots coming out from Jizuki was a little bit dicey at first. Managed to get it down to the end of the day. And here comes the backup as well. Myron, cannonballs. Here comes BD. Blades, cards, whatnot. Was that the ult as well? I think it was indeed. Just getting the kills guaranteed. Extreme prejudice. Maybe this is where the spawn camping starts to come in.
Oh, we see Myron again just laying down some heat.
Oh
Those 8 balls going. Come hard to get. Ooh, nice little angle there to get it over the wall. And
Spawn camp.
yeah, it is a bit of a spawn camp now. Getting very low. Not actually going down though, so gotta get the kills in the spawn. Not pushing too hard. They're actually a bit of a discipline here. Waiting for B-Day Bide to throw down that shield. Oh,
Nice! Oh no, it's a smooth wall!
yes, now Renegado Ghost in a hard position, but does manage to get the best of Myron. So Myron loses that one coming out, but you see, again, a bit of a hiding spot for Jizuki is trying to find some angles to go through. Diavolo tries to get through. Where's a few shots for the trouble? The cards come through. You're not going to get that.
Yep.
Okay, sit down, and here we go, B-Day Bide. Whatever you want to call them, I'm calling them a god at the moment as they continue to go 4 and 2 on the scoreboard. So not the best KD ever, but has been quite impactful. And 80% ticks up on the clock.
Doesn't really matter KD-wise if you're going to win the objective. Probably not, especially considering only now Wings of Jupiter are starting to manage to funnel onto the site. It's been like that for, I don't know, like 40% of the entire cap going for ex-Arsenal. They are starting to challenge the objective, but Myron doesn't even care. My goodness, lobbing those cannonballs across the bloody map. Catches him dead on the head. A pin as well. Renegado.
Oh, saved by the bell.
Saved.
Saved by the bell.
Oh, boy. Well, that was a
So Myron's still running to this day in that charge, by the way.
Yep, stuck in
in the animation,
Stuck in motion, yep. So go, best of 3 control series going the way of exclusive Arsenal, and once again, YOLO. He's like, yep, another day in the office.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I bet Wings of Jupiter are hoping Myron's stuck in that loop forever, but I don't think that's going to be the case, unfortunately. But it was just pretty easy, wasn't it? Christina unable to really get much effectiveness there, and just all of them like getting pretty much the similar kills, pretty similar deaths, just controlling the game. Myron getting completely destroying Dylan. I feel bad for him. That was just a pretty clip-worthy clip there, but hey ho, it happens. And now they've got to just hope that they can maybe clutch it back in escort.
Hope, pray, more like at this rate, because I'm not religious, but if they are, my goodness, they better be multifaceted. Praise every single god there is, because right now they're going to need every miracle they have going for them.
Yeah, we see a lot of these highlights from Miro. Really laying down the heat. Our favourite French pirate. Probably won't see Fade on the next map, which is kind of sad, because I enjoy seeing Fade. The charges are quite comical. And you saw some highlight prediction plays there from Myron as well.
Yeah.
Hitting those charges, you see one here, that's an absolute banger. That is a violation if I've ever had one or seen one. And yeah, see more, just, how do you clip that wall too? The smooth wall.
Steer in as much as you can, I guess.
Yeah.
And then again, that kill as well that we just saw when Myron went down, that was the Sentry turret that finally put him to rest. But once again, I think it just comes into my point in which I haven't seen a good Sindri still to this day, and I just still am not convinced about that hero. Whenever the turret's out, sure, maybe you can do some damage, depending on placement. When it's gone, what do you do by yourself? It just doesn't seem to be that beneficial. Anywho, that's going to be the 1 point of the best 3 series going towards ex-Arsenal in rather comforting fashion. At no point do I feel they were pressured. Full control, full composure the entire time, YOLO.
Yeah, it was a bit like that, wasn't it? And I mean, I'm sure, like what you were saying with Sindri, I'm sure we'll see her played a lot more in the final when everyone's maybe not as aggressive, and you'll have her played pretty consistently to counter that Aletta, because she does that really well. And maybe there'll be a higher pick rate. Maybe we'll see her as like better quality players decide to use her instead of maybe trolling or whatnot. But I'm sure, as like these 2 games, it was pretty dominant. Hopefully, we'll see some fun picks with exclusive Arsenal here for Escort.
Well, payload.
Yeah, no, that's a good choice. Yeah, I mean,
Yep.
you don't want to get double diggied on, so take it out. TWJ, they are playing the serious card of taking that Aletta out because you don't want to get run around by an Aletta. There is no worse feeling than getting absolutely run ragged. You don't know where you're getting shot from. You don't know where you're getting killed from because they're just too quick. And we've seen Aletta abuse, well, not abuse, but use that verticality as well by doing those little jumps up and down to really bamboozle the opposition. And I think that could be the case here. Exclusive Arsenal, they've shown us a double tank lineup. Now we're going to see something a little bit different on the payload Escort. I mean, how silly with it can they get?
Pretty silly, I think is the right answer to that. I mean, hopefully we see Myron using an O-slash just to try and get some clips, try and get a good kill streak going, maybe some 360s. We'll see some fun, hopefully, and like maybe an Iris just as a troll pick with a chemist. I've got no idea what to expect here, but I'm sure it'll be pretty funny whatever happens.
Well, I guess all we can do is cross our fingers and hope for the best, and for the most part, root for Wings of Jupiter, because I really do want to see eventually one of these teams, you know, these up and comers. It might take time, but for them to really show up and, you know, push some of these higher tier teams who have been at the top for so long, just push them a little bit more, and then for them to realize, oh, hang on, guys, we actually have to get serious now. These guys are not to be trifled with. Maybe that isn't today. Regardless, I will still hold my hopes up high. Exactly. Yep. And exclusive Arsenal, if you guys go too troll, then it might come to bite you. Well,
there we go.
Jizuki on the Osis.
Stolen.
A bit different across the board, YOLO.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't expecting Jizuki to play the Myron. Maybe he just got the click quickly, but or maybe, I mean, this is interesting. Hopefully that's their heroes that they're meant to pick. Hopefully there's no issue with that. But hey, it happens. I mean, if that was Hunter, Ruby, and Gatlin, that'll be a pretty solid comp in attack. I think they've got it pretty much at the bag. They'll have Gatlin up top just farming, Ruby on point. It'll be pretty easy for them, I expect.
I gotta lie, it sounds like YOLO, he's starting to run out of hope now, so that ain't good. But let's see what Wings of Jupiter can bring out to us. They have Gloria and Christina yet again. On defense, but it's shotguns, long range, man. Such a big map. I don't know about this. Christina, maybe if he can land those sticky grenades down perfectly.
Throw some pipes down, yeah. I mean, Christina, yeah, you can see these chokeholds, yeah. Maybe some Christina pipes will lay some down, some suppressing fire, eliminate one of the ways to get through. But shotguns up close typically haven't been a great idea on this map. Making the shotguns work is going to be pretty difficult stuff.
Ooh,
so Myron already clears one out. But B-Day goes down in the process.
It's a good start. And look at Tinlin. My goodness. I really, really rate Hunter, especially on payload escort maps. Like the range, the distance, honestly favors them so much.
Oh, yeah.
And of course, like the sonar grenades for these close quarters engagement scenarios. Now, for the first time ever, I think, we are seeing...
Diablo getting in there, but...
Oh, no! I was going to say we're actually seeing exclusive Arsenal getting like pushed into a corner. Doesn't seem to be the case, though. An instant grenade, instant jump out, and like just a team little communication distraction and whatnot. And they turn the tables immediately onto Wings of Jupiter. And here comes the push. Slow and steady.
Here it comes. Not going to see the fastest push ever, I don't think here. There will be a little bit of resistance from Wings of Jupiter.
Oh, they're
staggered. Starting to regroup. Yeah, they're a little bit staggered. Oh, this is a big stagger, actually. And yeah, more shots go through. But Dylan does manage to get 2 on the board. Dylan's sitting at 4-1 right now, so putting a little bit of a display on and can win this 1v1 here. This will go a long way, but no!
Nah.
A slither of HP does go down, and looks like those health packs up, and right as rain.
Jizuki, he's pretty nutty with the Hunter as well. They both often finding heads. Oh boy, here comes Myron. Renegado being caught out, positioning, no cover in sight. Just mown down. Where's the communications? Dylan as well runs out blind. They're getting staggered for crying out loud. Not again. It feels like deja vu to the first matchup we saw earlier today, XUV versus Infinity.
Yeah, Jizuki seems like one of those players that could probably shoot anything. Myron is he's griefing them at the moment. He's actually just putting on a little bit of a clinic, and he'll take another one now as Dylan a bit too close to the sun. Myron trying to find where Dylan's actually gone off to, but Davalo is going to be here to help out as well, but not for long. As Jizuki has got the second angle.
Oh
That's their spawn. That's not your spawn.
Well, he's confident. Let's just see how he plays it out. Into the corner as well. He's got his teammates, I
not
think,
checking.
up
I don't
high.
know.
Well, Jizuki's providing covering fire. Myron,
Alright.
good damage, but it takes 2 or 3 plays to finally shut him down. But the main issue is the payload. It's going uncontested. BD, it's just been sitting on it this entire time as Ruby, which is pretty stock standard, and it's a perfect image we love this all the time. The ultimate being popped early on, to what value, I'm not too sure. No one's really challenging her just yet on the payload, but Jizuki melting everyone left, right, and center. Everyone else is just a distraction. He's the main threat they have to be worried about. Myron is just going around having fun, and he goes Dylan exposed, Dylan down, dead to rights, and this payload is just making its merry way along.
Yeah, Jizuki is definitely the main character of this one. 10-0 on the board. Myron, of course, getting hot and heavy, very aggressive, trying to shoot people as they come out of spawn by fighting on the cart, making sure that is getting pushed down. Dildog goes down straight up. Wait, and Ghost is going to get picked out of the spawn here, you'd imagine. Jizuki will get this one, this 1v1. Surely gets the health pack. Well, Myron's there to cover. So 242, not the fastest we've ever seen, so it's slacking a little bit on the speedometer there. 317, yeah, so... Defense, they'll have to see if they can. I want to see if they can go for the 0 hold. You know, the 0 meters pushed hold. We'll have to see if they can pull it off. It's quite a difficult task to do, but you know, anything's possible.
Anything, I suppose, is possible. Well, YOLO, that is there really much more to be said?
Not really. I mean, it was borderline cyberbullying from Myron there in their spawn, but I mean, it was pretty good. Obviously, Jizuki getting the flawless 10-0. That's always good to see. Maybe he can drop a nuke this round, but. Who knows? I mean, they're using a Hualing, Hunter, Ruby.
Good comp.
That's just such a good comp.
Yeah, it is a great comp.
Yep. Now that's changed up with exclusive varsity now on defense. Jizuki going to maintain the Hunter. I love to see it. B-Day. More maybe communication role. Hualing. Myron going to stick to the Catelyn. I want to see where he posts up. This could be like some pretty good higher tier Catelyn gameplay we can finally see and learn from. On the flip side though, Wings of Jupiter, Dylan on Ruby. I rate that pick. Perfectly fine. The shields move basically same pace as the payload, assuming you're on it. Diablo on Sindri. Alright, sure, but Renegado, that's my main concern. Fade on the map this big. You've got to be taking the piss, mate.
Yeah, it's a bit of an odd one, but we'll have to see how it works out. Maybe you can make it lay down some suppressing fire in this room. See BD going very low already, but will land some shots. And gets that 1v1, well 2v1 now as Myron's laid down some pipes through there as well. See on high with that Gallon just laying down suppressing fire. So it won't be a 0 hold, but lack of tank kind of suggests that. Yeah, just laying it down. Yeah, the Ghost is going to try and get out of the spawn here, but won't happen. Didn't look both ways before crossing that road. Ends up getting run over by a hail of bullets.
You see, the main issue about that is that Myron being posted so far away, right? You really need that long-range DPS type hit scan. Either if it's Hunter or if it's maybe even Osus for crying out loud. Ruby's shield probably can't stand the test. And even if you're Jabali, it doesn't matter. You have to take down Myron first that distance and all hide behind the payload. Here comes the ultimate in the air. That's just free target practice. Long range. It took B-Day to finish him off. And also, I have to say, even when B-Day was inside that room under Big Red, he had his teammates, Kazuki as well, Hunter, throwing down the sonar grenades from up high just in support, even though he couldn't see the enemies deeper in. Now, pure firefights, Jizuki doing what he does best. Diablo did manage to get a kill, and Myron's gone walkabout, maybe leaving Jizuki to play Gladiator.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Is he in this spawn?
He's in his own spawn.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
What do you... Alright. Myron has gone walkabout, decided he'll go park up somewhere else and...
Gladiator moment.
Have a bit of a kip.
Oh, B-Day and Jizuki here. That's
ambitious.
Yeah, that is a charge from a long distance away. Although close distance though, the cannibals is where They work out the stun as well. Oh goodness, the shutdown B-Day. Doesn't matter if you're long range, close range against her Hualing. She'll give you the absolute works. Catelyn, Myron, back against the corner as well. What do? You basically have to go against a straight up Gatling gun, literally. Mown down. So far, the defense is pretty good, but then again, it's an admirable push from the Wings of Jupiter.
Yeah, they've done a little bit of pushing here. They got into the difficult part, really the first real test of under that barrier, and as you see now, they're just dropping down and very exposed to the on-high action. You see this Hunter is just going to have the perfect position as they try and aggress onto this high ground. It's going to be very difficult to clear out, as Myron's gone just for a voyage, it seems, as Vito's worked their way onto the cart, taking out that pressure, and yeah, here you go. Jizuki on high, and not Garona going to be going down here, you'd imagine.
This guy's Jizuki, honest to God, he is something else, and it makes me a little bit scared watching him play. He's an absolute laser beam. I think every single burst he gets as well is just crit hits. He's not missing, and of course, really good sonar grenade placements. Misses a couple of shots here and there. Doesn't really matter. Diavolo is going to just be completely melted. Jizuki went flawless in the first half, and now in the second, looking to maintain that streak. Myron as well, looking to have a slice of that pie. Flawless, and 20 seconds left. Looks to be a complete lockout. Renegado, like a shield, fade at that distance. The cannibals are going to be useless, so meat shield for the most part.
Certainly is, as Myron's going to go play with the mermaid. Up on top, and very exposed here, Myron, so could lose that
done.
Flawless. No,
Maybe.
kind of.
How's this guy still alive?
Yeah,
okay,
right,
took a while,
dead.
took a while,
Good.
took a while. There you go. Might just be a little bit too little too late kind of affair. Round
Jizuki,
2 end.
Flawless, the boy who lived.
Yep, the boy who lived in the Jizuki didn't really stress, and if anything, he was probably the only player on the side of exclusive Arsenal really, well, I wouldn't call it trying super hard, but he was playing much more serious compared to the rest of them, YOLO.
Yeah, I mean, it's just when they see that matchup, like say Wings of Jupiter already at a disadvantage, and then they play a Ruby, a Fade, and like they've got no range at all. And when you're against a Gatling, a Hualing, and a Hunter, they can just beam at long distances, no pressure at all. You saw Myron just posting up, didn't have to dodge any shots, just sit there, beaming, get those kills in, and it was pretty free, honestly, but. It was well played all round. Myron being a bit greedy, did not getting the flawless in the end, but hey ho, it happens. He still played well. Shows off like the recent Gatling buff. Her movement is so quick now.
Yeah.
Like with her just being able to change from ability to ability, get that speed going, which is great to see. A bit of Gatling.
Honestly, what would the weaknesses be of actually Gatling? Because from like what we've seen thus far, there hasn't been much Gatling being put on the display. But now that, well, it could be just a Myron thing, Gatling seems very viable. Like the DPS, that insta melt, it is seriously a force to be reckoned with. Pure damage output, shield melting, and it's just insane chip damage across the board. If you have a good like player on your team just to help finish the job, it looks to be so easy.
Yeah, it is. I mean, but then when you're against, say, an Alessa or an Ascadi or a Hunter that are very good, and when you've got Gatling, to get that high DPS, you've got to be in a really stationary mode where you can't jump, and you can just get headshot and completely deleted. So I think that's why you don't see her that much in the high play, because unless you've got a tank to support you, she really can just die instantly with Alessa running around. A Harling can just headshot, one-shot her. There's a lot of stuff that go wrong for Gatling.
Well, at least not in this matchup, Ben. 2-0 going away of exclusive Arsenal, and at no point did I feel stressed, at least.
No, I don't think they felt too threatened or stressed at all either. So they'll be going on to, well, what is the end of the bracket, the winner bracket final, all the way there. So they'll be waiting for the results of the next few matches to come through as we see the bracket play out here. So it will be Wings of Jupiter will go down and versus Infinity, they looked probably the better of the teams that we've seen so far.
Yeah.
So Infinity, if they can carry on that momentum in that lower bracket final, that will put up a good match in the grand final that we'll be seeing later on today. Next match though, Wings of Jupiter versus Infinity. Of course, we'll give Wings of Jupiter a little bit of time to cool down and think about what they've done.
Yep.
And then they'll come back to us. But YOLO, next matchup, Wings of Jupiter, Infinity. Talk us through it. What are you expecting? Expecting a little bit more competition?
Yeah, I think it's definitely going to be a lot closer game-wise. I think that Infinity, from what I've seen so far, maybe have the better communication, the better comp picks, the better hero bans. I feel like going into this that they will have the advantage, I would say, just purely based on like seeing how it's gone, the heroes that they pick, maybe they'll counter them slightly. But I feel like also being Infinity, like even if they win this game, they've got mentally in the back of their heads, they've got to play exclusive Arsenal again. So they're like, we've just lost 2-0 to them. We've got to win this game, and then if we win this game, we're against exclusive Arsenal again. So maybe that could like play on their strings mentally. They might be like, actually, I don't have the morale for this. I can't bother to get beaten 2-0 again. Who knows?
Oh, well, the end result's going to be so might as well just hit the sack right now. We don't know. But then again, like maybe game 1 jitters, they weren't quite ready for it. And when you get the pressure out of the way, get the stress out of your system, you come into another game a little bit refreshed and think, yeah, you know what? Maybe these guys are beatable, especially when they're not playing serious. We just have to play our own game and simply stay calm, get the comms clean and cut, target focus as one by one, essentially stagger exclusive Arsenal, which is probably easier said than done. Anywho, though, we will see. First off, it's going to be the lower bracket finals. Guys, don't go away.
This is our champions I made. All the way, all the way, all the way up. All the way, all the way up. Best of the best, cause I'm sitting on top. All the way up. All the way, all the way, all the way up. All the way up. Top of the game, cause I'm too hot to touch. All the way up. I'm a champion. I'm a champion. I know it. I deserve the name of a champion. Hear my anthem. This is our champions I made.
Let's go. Bring it in. We about to do what we did again, nothing to prove, but you know what we've been against. We got a call to do it, you know we issuing it. You see the evidence, yeah, you see the homie. I'm going from holy to holy, going from glory to glory. I ain't just living, I'm telling the story. I had an episode better than Maury. I had a step and they couldn't ignore it. I had a shot and I hit it like Ori. I feel the glory, I feel the glory. Let's go. If I do it, I'ma do it for the glory. Yeah, ain't nobody gonna do it for me. Kill it every day up in the morning. It's a blessing, so I do it for the glory. The glory, the glory. You know I do it for the glory. The glory. When I do it, yeah, I do it for the glory. Amen. Hey, if I do it, then I'm doing it to death. Oh yeah, I'm influencing the ones that do it best. Oh yeah, started moving with the crew. You got a few, we got a slew. We trying to do what they said that we couldn't do. Oh yeah, I ain't living with regrets. Ain't no limits, ain't no rest. Yeah, want money, power, respect. I want more, I wanna be blessed. We want the legacy. We got the hope and we bringing the remedy. Working it steadily. We want the glory. We want the blessing. If I do it, I'ma do it for the glory. Yeah, ain't nobody gonna do it for me. Kill it every day up in the morning. It's a blessing, so I do it for the glory. The glory. The glory. You know I do it for the glory. The glory. When I do it, yeah, I do it for the glory. For the real, I know how they used to feel. Now I'm here up in the field, making these moves, making these deals. I make something out of nothing. I ain't bluffing, no discussion. Look at the numbers, I've been hustling. Little rough around the edges, still I made it though. Still I just been laying low. Man, I just feel grateful though. I know where I come from, man, I ain't alone. Yeah, and I feel so blessed. Too blessed to be stressed. And I'm with the day unos. They don't ride to the death. We got the legacy. We got the hope and we bring in the remedy. Working it steadily. We want the glory. We want the glory. If I do it, I'ma do it for the glory. Yeah, ain't nobody gonna do it for me. Kill it every day up in the morning. It's a blessing, so I do it for the glory. The glory. The glory. You know I do it for the glory. The glory. When I do it, yeah, I do it for the glory.
Ladies and gentlemen, T3 Arena League, we in this! And now, finally, We are approaching the end of phase 1. It is the final day. It is the final group, Group D, and we've seen for the most part some teams come and go by the wayside, and exclusive Arsenal, the top dogs, supposedly one of the teams favored to win out the entire thing towards the end later on in the year, putting on a show for us for the most part. They look comfortable. They definitely weren't tested, and it's a bit of a shame because I wanted to see these so-called pro players, you know, really being pushed to the limits to show us what they're truly capable of, just what sets them so far apart compared from the rest. Guys, I'm Digital, Smash, and YOLO. Boys, how are we feeling today? Let's start with you, Ben.
Well, good things come to those who wait. We'll have to wait and see some of these exclusive squads push to the limits back later into the finals. I reckon a few of them might get a little bit sweaty, especially when those intra-club matches start to happen across. But for now, it does look like it's pretty easy going for the exclusive guys. YOLO, we have a bit of an exclusive less game coming up now in this lower bracket final. How are you looking at it?
Well, I'm looking at it with open eyes, honestly. So we've got both teams that have shown that they're pretty decent, they're looking forward to it, and that I think that, as I said earlier, Infinity have the upper hand to start with, I would say, but who knows, like maybe they changed their comps up completely, we'll see new heroes, they would have seen it, I'm sure they would have watched the stream, they would have like known what picks they'd used beforehand, potentially, who knows about that, but I'm ready for it, man.
All right, and so are we. Now the teams in the lower brackets finals, I believe, Infinity versus Wings of Jupiter. They're ready for the hero bans. Let's check it out. This is bound to be a lot more serious. No Diggy, unfortunately, Ben. So let's check it out. Skadi ban, a letter ban. I love this year. Wings of Jupiter getting that out of the way for Infinity. Infinity getting Skadi away from the Wings of Jupiter, which I think they did play. Obviously, not so much success versus exclusive Arsenal, but perfect stock standard bans, YOLO.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I don't think Infinity used an letter at all, but maybe it's just a safe pick to ban a letter. It's well played. It's something that's really reliable to do.
Yeah.
And I think Infinity, great pick banning the Skadi. The Skadi player that they had used against Arsenal and had done pretty well, so I think that's well played from that sense.
Nope. Hero bans look pretty on point, pretty schmicko. Infinity, by banning the Skadi as well, they might see themselves moving over towards a JJ. Like the options are pretty much endless. It's good that TWJ they did ban out the letter as well. Otherwise, that could have been pretty difficult to counter without the Skadi being there. So, yep, I'm excited to see how these two match up. Of course, both of them avoiding tank bans completely, so all of the tanks will be out on the field, which will be good.
Should be fine.
Jabali might be a hotly contested pick here.
Jabali, actually no, I want to say Ruby. I still think Ruby's probably the best tank thus far we've seen. Fade, kind of very map specific. I'm really only Arctic Express and what was it, Alpha Astana. But just even on those maps, right, even on Payload Discord and control maps, Ruby is perfectly viable, perfectly strong. Close quarters combat, she got it at long range, not so much. But alright, YOLO, walk us through these picks.
Well, I mean, first of all, you've got a Skadi for Team Infinity that they banned Skadi for TWJ, and now they're using it to counter that Jabali completely with that dancing ultimate every 30 seconds. They'll use that probably as soon as Jabali uses his ultimate. They'll use that, counter the shield, and I'm sure that'll do a pretty good job. Obviously, they've got a JJ for stalling, and then they've got a Hunter. It's just a really all-round solid comp. And then you've got a Gloria from Wings of Jupiter. Interesting on this map. I wouldn't usually have said that's a good option just because she's not as versatile there. She doesn't have as good a kit as, say, other heroes, like a Hunter maybe. But hey, I'm here for it.
Well, speaking of a kit, talk us through real quick as well. Why exactly Gloria's kit doesn't work well on Arctic Express?
So, I mean, it works decently lane-wise when you've got to get her assault rifle out, but when you're against various heroes with CC, especially when it's a very tanky map, you want to have some sort of crowd control, like say Skadi's with her stun, like her web and her dancing. Gloria, yes, she has a bomb that slows, but against tanks it can't really one-shot them. And just it takes a while to get that, and her shotgun is pretty ineffective against some characters.
Yep, close quarters combat and mid to short range distance map. We'll see how it goes. Infinity, they started off nicely with the 20% under their belt and the kills just rolling their way. Here comes Diablo. There's the one dance. No ultimate even needed. That was an insta melt. Oh my goodness, Ben.
Yeah, you saw on the rollout the side of TWJ, they were committed to chasing down Entei, which opened up the angles for Pemi and Sid to just kind of shoot him in the back. And Entei managed to escape as well on not the most mobile hero, but now we see the Johnny Jack getting into the backlines. Ghost gets taken out immediately.
Nice.
And now we'll get the back on end of the flank again. They're just chasing Pemi, but Pemi's able to survive for so long and really duke it out and cause this mayhem, cause this space to be opened up. And the other two players from the side of Infinity are able to make use of that space and wipe the team. And it is pretty much flawless at the moment. Just Entei going down. Very, very emphatic start for the side of Infinity. They are here to play. They want to be in that final.
And this is like a statement as well, right? Bear in mind, exclusive Arsenal, they 2-0'd Infinity, and Infinity is doing this well already on map 1, looking this confident versus the Wings of Jupiter. They're basically making, like, you know, no mistakes for the most part. Sure, a couple of deaths here and there. Pemi is an absolute gun, and not only that, Sid being hyper proactive on the Johnny Jet, getting in the enemy's back lines, camping around the corner, and it's just playing inside its pools as well for that speed boost. He's just melting them from behind and leaving Diablo by himself, the biggest boy of them all, and then it's just a massive, you know, 2v1, 3v1 scenario. So far, the Wings of Jupiter barely able to step forward onto the side, barely able to even, you know, get through these lanes unscathed. It's just, it's gonna go by the wayside really quickly at this rate. Johnny Jet, though, that's a good start. You've finally taken out Pemi, his first death. That's far. Dylan, not quite on the point just yet. It's 99%. They need to cap it. Oh, no, this might be a little bit too little, too late. Diablo by himself. He's got no clue where Johnny Jet is, and he's so low. It's just teamwork once again. Entei wasn't even moving, for crying out loud. He was a turret. Here comes Renegado. Can barely touch the site. It's OT. It's done. 100-0. Infinity.
Yeah,
this is a show up.
They just pushed them around. The Wings of Jupiter, every time they saw someone, they just kind of committed to chasing that one hero down, and that just opened themselves up to all these different angles. The other players on the side of Infinity were able to just take advantage of that and shoot him in the back. And then eventually, you're left with one player chasing Entei, you left one player chasing Pemi, and they just win that 1v1, and then all of a sudden, fight's over. Very good execution from the side of Infinity to open up all those angles for their DPS players, but the Wings of Jupiter, they're going to have to go back to the drawing board and think about their rotations and how they approach these fights.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm sure that Gloria wasn't really that good on that map at all. Maybe she'll do better on Elephant Instana when she's got the balcony and like she can just chill on the pillar, maybe farm down on the cap. Hopefully if she gets the chance, but there's a JJ running around annoying her. That counters Gloria so much. Gloria didn't even get a kill that game. And I feel like, it's just the synergy wasn't there. Like Infinity, they lost to Arsenal, come up guns blazing completely, and just they're just dominating, really, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. Yeah, they are indeed. And once again, it feels like one of these teams lost out already early on pre-game in terms of the hero picks. And well, they're locked into Gloria now, having to commit to her on Elephant Instana. But like you said, there was the instant counter, and there's just so many heroes that essentially would annoy Gloria so much that she won't be able to do her job. Hopefully it goes better for the Wings of Jupiter coming to map 2. But Infinity, they're looking really hot and ready to, honestly, if more than anything else, to face ex-Arsenal again.
Yeah, I mean, Infinity, they want that matchup. They want that rematch versus ex-Arsenal. You can just tell they are taking it also very, very seriously and cleaning up very, very quickly. Now, they want that matchup. They're going to have to work a little bit harder to get it because they've only got one control point under their belt. They still need the second one and then the payload escort. But they're on the right track to do it. I mean, this Skadi, this combination that they're playing, the 2 DPS, the mobile or the tank hero onto Sid, it looks unbeatable at the moment for anyone that isn't ex-Arsenal.
Well, look,
for sure.
I honestly don't really think this matchup is going to grow any legs, and I think that's the story of today in general. A lot of these matchups have been very one-sided, and if anything, I'm quite impressed by Infinity. They do have what it takes. They have that synergy, like you said, Yolo. The communication seems to be pretty clear, and they've got the teamwork down pat when it comes to these moments. You can see how they approach these team fights. You can see where the focus lies, and if anything, it looks almost like I'm looking at a slightly weaker version of ex-Arsenal, minus the top picks and whatnot. And now, Elephant Instana. That's the wrong hero, but I'm hoping they can still change it out.
You see the synergy there as well. Very important part of the game. We've got the matching banners, the thumbs up going on. You know, they're all in sync. They are ready to go, and they're serious business. Ready to take this out 2-0. Get on to that grand final where they really want to be shown versus, well, they want to test themselves really, versus exclusive Arsenal. I want to know how that one went because we didn't see that game, the first match versus Infinity versus exclusive Arsenal on stream. Of course, that was played off stream earlier on in the day. It looked 2-0. Might not tell the full story there, as it looks like Infinity could push them a little bit further. At least give them a bit of a test, you'd say. Hopefully, for that grand final, we get to see a good game.
Well, unfortunately, bad news once again. Seems like, I don't know if it's intentional or not at this point. Some of these teams, they should know the entire rundown by now. When you're on the control maps, you have to stick with the exact same roster. And as a result, we saw that Labia Plick come in, and that's an instant forfeit going their way. So, the Wings of Jupiter, they're going to lose that best of 3 control series, and that's 1-0 up on the board right now for Infinity. So, we're going to have to give it some time to get Payload Escort on board. And yeah, it'd be like that, man. Unfortunate. And YOLO, I want to hear your theory. Do you reckon that was intentional, or just simply they got too heated in the moment? A Labia Plick on Elephant and Stana, though?
Brave.
Yeah, but also very, very good. And I feel like it could be that they've just got 100 zeros, and it never feels good. Like, I've been 100 zeros, and imagine like on stream with so many people, it's not a good feeling, right? You want to change it up. You might maybe get away with picking the Labula, and if you don't, you've lost it. You just concentrate on the escort game now. You're like, we'll give them control. Let's win escort. Hopefully, it's that sort of attitude, maybe, or they just completely forgot about the rules. But who knows? I think Labula would have been a beneficial pick there, just because it's very versatile as a hybrid tank. I think it could have maybe done something in a beneficial way, but hey ho, we're not going to find out.
Oh well, it is what it is. Going by the wayside, and let's assume right now that Infinity, right? I might be jumping a little bit too ahead, but let's assume that Infinity, they will take it over Wings of Jupiter rather smoothly over towards Payload Escort, of course, privy to the hero bans and picks. What's the game plan like? Because I want to hear it from you, Ben. Because earlier YOLO he did say when they would have to face against X-Arsenal again, it might be a bit daunting for one, but maybe leverage their teamwork or something, or what?
Well, I mean, it's really nothing to lose for the side of Infinity, right? They're the underdogs going in. Nobody expects them really to show too much versus a team that's prestigious as exclusive Arsenal. So they can just go hell for leather. They can play as aggressive as they like. They can take opportunities. They can take chances. The ball's really in exclusive Arsenal's court. If they take a map off them or they push them on to maps, I mean, that's going to look great in the a real feather in the bow of Infinity. And they're going to be able to, you know, take that on and work on that and build on that. And of course, they've already played up once, so they might have a little bit of an idea of how exclusive Arsenal are playing.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there really is nothing to lose for Infinity at all, and they should be going into that series feeling exactly that way. Leave it all on the court is the saying, because, yeah, they don't have to hide anything. They don't have any pressure on them.
A learning experience, it sounds like, for the most part, regardless of what happens. You play against the best, regardless of whether or not X-Arsenal actually play their proper picks. They could still simply just, you know, figure out what they did wrong themselves and what they can do better. Because, hey, if you're getting dumpstered by, say, Diggy, for example, then what's going on, guys? Are you guys being too stagnant and whatnot? Well, to be decided. Anywho, let's focus on the game at hand. Infinity versus Wings of Jupiter. Hero bans, Payload Escort, Map 1, Bravo Stock coming up now. Kind of excited to see this one, Ben.
Yeah, we'll have to see. I don't think there'll be any Diggy bans here. I think it'll be pretty much, a letter. No, not banned out. We are going to see the Jabali ban out, though, from TWJ. That's a decent ban. I mean, Sid's been playing that a little bit on these Payload Escort maps, so not a bad idea to remove that kind of that centerpiece for Infinity. Talk us through the bans, though, YOLO. What do you think about this? What's your thoughts and opinions on this one?
Well, both obviously the main two like tanky heroes that you would expect to see on Escort, very good picks, and I'm sure like they would have got decided like in terms of the players who plays a Ruby or a Jabali better, ban the hero that they're best at. I'm sure like, and maybe the comps that they're going to pick are like rooted in that sort of direction. Say if they ban a Ruby, they'll decide to play heroes that will counter Jabali, for example, because they'll have to be forced into playing that. So I feel like there's definitely a mental game there, and that's very solid like bans, as I said earlier. It's interesting that they would ban the Jabali because obviously they could just pick a Ruby who's almost like a better hero. So who knows on that side, but
who knows indeed. Look, I don't think I've seen the Wings of Jupiter play Ruby too much. I mean, granted, against X-Arsenal, I think it was pulled out on either side. Once again, though, not too much value. It was really BD who was playing it, if I remember correctly. Regardless, tank bans, sure, makes sense, fair enough. But on the flip side, when the sides get changed, we'll probably see Jabali for the other team and Ruby for the Wings of Ruby for Infinity, Jabali for Wings of Jupiter. I think that should be just fine. I'm not concerned about that. My main question around them is what heroes are we going to see? I think early on today we did see XCV, I believe it was, pick Catelyn. Not to the same effect as Myron, but maybe a slight change up, maybe more stock standard DPS, mid to long range characters. You know, you're thinking Hunter, you're thinking probably just Skadi, the stock standards, and just comes down to who's the better team, who hits those shots at the end of the day. YOLO?
Yeah, exactly, I'm sure. And I mean, we've got Wings of Jupiter like starting on attack first. There's always more pressure on that. If you're defending at the start, you can set the score. You know how far you've got to get and what time. So all the pressure is on them. I feel sorry for them immediately with a. Hopefully they're not playing Fort.
Oh, it's the portable.
I mean, yeah, it's just a loss. I mean, I'm sorry, but you can't play a Fort on attack when you've got to be constantly putting those shields up. Unless they put the shield on the cart, that's the only way I can see it maybe being beneficial. But then a Labula as well. And I mean, a Shell's really good, don't get me wrong, but they just don't have that range at all. And I feel like they just get bursted
range
down.
And speed as well.
No Aletta picks at all today, actually. It's been banned out in a few series on a few maps, but just no Aletta. I mean, maybe they're not confident in playing the Aletta. Of course, it is a very high skill cap hero, so can be difficult to pick up, but you can absolutely dominate a game and just run the team ragged. We will see that portable, as you mentioned. It is quite a goofy pick, but again, it could be
so
pretty.
slow.
Yeah, he's not rapid, that's for sure. But he'll go walkie and find the cart, and oh, that shield went down rather quickly, and so did that health bar with it. A lot of damage coming out, a lot of front-end damage, front-loading damage coming out from Infinity, so that shield won't last too long at all, as Entei starts things off, gets on the board.
I want to say for Sid as well, I think we actually saw him play Osis early on, so this is honestly pretty decent. I'm feeling confident in that pick for defense, especially when the ultimate's online, which is going to be pretty soon. Pimi and Entei, not having a great time, but the frags are still going their way though for the most part. No struggles, and Renegado, look, even Yolo was talking about it. Sure, you have Labula, but projectiles are good, not enough range, and sometimes it might just be a little bit too slow. Same story with Fort. And they gave the payload a little bit of a shunt, but back to square one for the most part. The Judix on Dylan, I gotta say for him as well. Like credit's due. He has been a consistent player for TWJ this entire day, but one-man army might be a little bit too much for him to do.
Dylan's doing some work here.
I could be proven wrong though. Yeah,
Dylan's doing a lot of work here.
He's chased down a few players. It's a good start, and the payload is getting a little bit dangerously close now to their first checkpoint.
Certainly is. That's just off the back of Dylan finding a flank and finding a little bit of an opportunity to land some of these consecutive shots taken out. But you see the teleporter coming in. Sid on the flank. Will spawn, get taken out straight away pretty much. Dylan is just on a tear. Dylan is 5-1 right now. Not taking it lying down at all.
Yeah, and also Entei, I gotta say, I think he kind of screwed himself into that corner, and then as you can see, Diablo with the rockets, the sticky rockets, just pincered him in. It was just huge splash damage going his way. Now, perhaps towards these choke points, we can see Fort's primary fire really come to full effect, but this payload's going uncontested for the most part. I don't know what Sid's trying to do at that range with on Osis. He's stuck for crying out loud. Man's got growing tree roots in his boots, and down he goes. The kills all going in the favor, for the most part, for the Wings of Jupiter, and Infinity, surprisingly, to me, they're struggling.
Yeah, well, their composition relies heavily on getting those picks, landing those shots, because they don't have anything to play behind. They don't have any sort of cover at all. They have no real point contest either, so it does rely on them taking them out before the attackers get to the car and get uprooted on it. You can see Navalo just is posted up, ready to go, and they're not landing those 1v1 shots. They are getting taken out by Dylan. They're getting beaten in those 1v1 engagements. They might win one here. Ghost might go down and does, but Dylan's going to be able to get there and get the cleanup, and he's on a 9-banger at the moment. He might be even going for the Big 10.
Yep, this Judix pick doing wonders for the Wings of Jupiter, but make no mistake, aside from Diablo and Renegade doing some damage here and there, it's been a one-man show in terms of fragging power. Diablo, his sole objective is to push the payload, and Renegade Ghost might be a distraction. He's just not finding much value on Labula, especially in these open spaces. Just an instant shutdown to Entei. He barely broke a sweat for the most part. Sid yet to get on the board as well, and we haven't really seen the teleporter to much effect. I don't think there's much point of it, especially considering they're this close to their spawn. Pimi being a thorn in the backsides, pushing up a little bit. Shots being exchanged, but I think the payload should be underway real soon.
Yeah, Sid hasn't managed to land anything too big. Because the closest pick will be fantastic on that first point where the spawn is long. But on the second point where the spawn is so short, then the teleporter doesn't really come into effect. They are in a bit of a better position now to start working some choke points, getting some shots through. But again, they can't really contest the cart. They just don't have the strength to contest it for too long. And you can see now, the snipers are trying to get onto the point and contest, but that's not where you want to be. You want to be taking these long sight lines. You want to be laying down all this pressure as they're trying to get to the objective. You don't want to be on the objective clearing them out. So strategy has really come back to bite Infinity here. But
Oh, nice.
they are going to be able to slow things down. Dylan gets taken out, and yeah, you can see this is what they want. They want to be shooting people as they're trying to get to the objective, not trying to peel people off the objective.
And Sid, this guy's just far away from his team, letting his teammates be the bait while he just shoots them from afar. So far, so good, I suppose. And the downside for for Wings of Jupiter is that they have to be fighting a battle really on two fronts, focusing on what's in front of them. This is the hyper-aggressive Entei and Pimi, while still having to be worried about shots in the back from a sniper on Sid. One to the head, and for the most part, they'll finish the entire roster. Dylan's going to be gone. Renegade maybe survivable for a little bit longer. And Diavolo, that's his first kill thus far this late into the match. And the payload, a minute to go. Not quite much distance left. So I think they have made decent progress, and they should also be safe. It just comes down to the defense now at this point.
Yeah, it is decent progress, as you said. It is going to come down to what the defense is looking like. Pemi does land the stun. Devalo just goes very, very low. Needs to get that health pack. But again, Renegado, Ghost, and Devalo are on the cart now. And it's going to be hard to take them off and peel them off here. You see Entei on the high ground trying to lay down some heat. He's going to need to pick one off. Does get the first. Needs to get his second as well. The shield not being played around. It's in a position which is pretty hard to use if you're on the side of TWJ. See, Renegado Ghost gets taken out as well, but each time they're just edging closer and closer. It might be all over in terms of the push, because I don't think they'll complete the map, but this is already a pretty aggressive, pretty far push. There's a lot of choke points to break through.
Yeah, indeed. So once again, Hero picks who's going to win out in the second half.
Goes
About 15 seconds left soon to push it all the way. Sid, the only line of defense. Hang on now, it's not looking too good if you're for the side of Infinity. The smoke comes through, it's great, but that's not going to stop the payload. You guys have to start contesting it and fight and win these duels right now. Diablo from behind is getting chipped away. Pimi should be able to finish the job. Takes a little bit longer than expected. It was a matter of time, but as far as I'm concerned, Ben, that is a push all the way.
Yeah, no, that is well, it's all there, but about a few meters, about 2.5 or 3. That's a push that Infinity wouldn't have expected to give up. It really came back to bite them on that first point when those tanky characters got onto the cart. They couldn't go on there and contest with Entei or Pemi, and of course Sid, Sniper, doesn't want to get on there either.
No.
So by making a few mistakes there, it cost them a lot.
Well, YOLO, guess it's all onto the defense now. So, well, supposedly now, I think it's more so eyes on Infinity for their push, because that pretty much went all the way.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you just saw there how important the momentum is. Like, Wings of Jupiter completely just carrying straight through, carried on that momentum. But unfortunately, in that last 3 minutes there, they never actually ended up playing height, which I think was the issue, right? They didn't go far right, take height, get the bridge, get control, and then push the cart, because it ended up with them just being stuck in a choke point for 3 minutes, not managing to get to the end. But hey, with this new comp that we're seeing Infinity using a pretty interesting comp here. But Hualing is going to carry, not using a tank, which is interesting, but you've got a Hualing, a Scad, and a Hunter. So who knows what we'll see here.
Yeah, probably extreme damage, that's the idea. But what's funny as well is that Wings of Jupiter are still maintaining that Diavolo on fort pick. Defense? I mean, maybe taking the word defense a little bit too seriously. It's not quite what we've seen coming up from a lot of the higher tier teams when they switch sides on payload escort. They more so prefer getting that higher DPS and just straight pure damage coming through.
Sure.
But regardless, was that trade? I'm not too
Dylan's
sure.
on.
But Dylan, once again, this guy on Judix, he's putting in the works for Wings of Jupiter. And now Diablo, guy's just being a massive, a menace towards whoever's left alive.
But what's pushing the card here? That's the really thing. The objective is, there's nothing really to push the objective here on the side of Infinity. They don't have someone that likes to be on the objective. Everyone wants to be off the objective, shooting different angles and things like that. So you see now the Sid's on the card, but Hualing doesn't really want to be there. So there's a big flaw in strategy here from the side of Infinity. Maybe overconfidence has come back to bite them a bit, but it's going to take a lot of individual talent and a lot of individual playmaking to get this push through.
But for the most part, that was a really good team wipe, and this is going to get them some really good progress going forward. And I have to say as well, the team play just then from both sides was actually exceptional. Off of Pimi, off of the Wanna Dance, and I suppose it was a little bit of RNG forcing, who was it, Dylan out into the open, Entei to finish. And then on the flip side, Renegado from up top, he was basically bait, and Dylan over towards the bridge side, Big Red, he started to snipe down and took down Sid in a previous play. Now, nice little combo. Once again, one more combo between Pimi and Entei. The net, the long-range snipe with Hunter and Sid, just the info gatherer, holding these close-range angles and maybe trying out his luck to see if he can find an arrow to the head as soon as one swings around the corner. But momentum, same old story, and really, it's just good kills going the way. Team wipes, this payload is going uncontested super fast, and that should be the first choke point, unless maybe Diablo can get on to contest. Nope, that's not going to be it. 4 minutes to take it all the way. I would say they're feeling pretty comfortable right now. Team fight coming through, one-on-one trades. Sid and Pimi trying to get the job done. Good Wanna Dance, but Dylan is affected after all, but the shots aren't landing. Pimi! One-on-one, the flash comes through. He still manages to get Dylan just before the crosshair got a little bit too off target. It's looking fantastic.
Yeah, this is where they want to be. I mean, they are taking these aggressive positions and are able to shoot. They're able to shoot as they're coming in. This is what you want to be doing. Using those longer sight lines, and Sid now pushing the cart. But again, there's going to be TWJ not able to really get any sort of contention. As you're jumping down, you get taken out. Maybe the play would have been to put the shield on the high ground and just kind of play behind that and poke him off the cart. But does try and a swan dive on top, and it gets taken out for the troubles. Renegado will be the next to fall, you'd imagine. Yep, there we go. Entei on a bit of a tear. Cart will just waddle in a little bit further as walkie's in.
What is with the staggering? I just don't get it. Diablo, I mean, you're fought. If you play close range, I guess it might work out to some extent, but that opens up you to so many lanes of attack. That's an issue. Maybe if you put down a shield just underneath the bridge to basically hold that choke point as a final stand for maybe 2.5 minutes, that might be the better strategy, and letting his teammates do more of the DPS story. Anywho, Renegado, same thing as well. Not finding much value. 2 kills to his name. Diablo yet to get on the board. This payload is making his way really smoothly towards the final checkpoints, and it's just, once again, pure DPS difference. Diablo, you gotta tap the thing. Stop focusing on the kills, mate. It's about to go all the way. Teammates are respawned. Things getting a little bit more brutal. Indeed, 1 kill going their way. So this probably would buy them a little bit more time. But when the final push comes through after a regroup, that should be the end of the story. Yeah,
a little bit of a reset here. Dylan does go down. Sid's very low. We'll take that health pack, but do need a regroup on both sides at the moment. Looks like they will now try and push in. Entei is going to be pushing around the side, trying to find some work. Pemi on high has got the best advantage point. Entei takes 1. Pemi takes 2. 1 player alive. It is just going to be Dylan, but the cart's not pushing. Nobody wants to get off the high ground right now.
What are they waiting for? Okay,
well,
they found Dylan now. There's the kill to really good. Really nice coming from Pimi. Entei probably going to get this all the way. Renegado, I don't think is going to live for too long unless they can 2v1 Entei right now, who's making some really good movements. He's getting out to safety. Ult out finally from Diablo, but catches absolutely no one. And
here we go.
Both Renegado and Diablo go down. That's the team wipe, and that's it. Game over.
Yeah, it looked smoother, a lot smoother. 4 minutes 29 versus 6:05, so definitely a lot smoother. But there was a little bit of a holes in their strategy there. They didn't have anyone that really wanted to push that payload. They all wanted to be up on high. They all want to be shooting down on the enemy. So maybe something they got to think about when that Jabali is banned. They got to think about something that can contest that, whether it be a Johnny Jet pushing the car, whether it be Ruby. Because if you play that against exclusive Arsenal, they are going to punish you for it.
Yeah, exactly. But I think maybe, I don't know, Wings of Jupiter thought that they had to use the same comp because they lost a game by default on Control. Who knows? But I think that what I was just talking about with Wings of Jupiter, they couldn't get that far because they never pushed height in the end game. But then Infinity, they always had a Scaddy go straight up to high, get the bridge, get the shots down, get the height advantage, because that enabled them to then push from below, get some picks going, because that's not what Wings of Jupiter did. And then Wings of Jupiter, they could just flank round, get on the top of the balcony, and then put pressure, shots down, and they couldn't actually get to the end. So I think just comp-wise, Infinity are like playing very well, and strategic-wise, they know that they've got to get height. They don't like necessarily care. You saw that they were just chilling on the bridge for like 15 seconds without pushing the cart there. They knew what had to be done. Maybe wait for the third teammate, maybe get a pick and then jump down, because it's a risky procedure, but they just played it pretty well in the end game.
So
Indeed. I suppose just the confidence all the way through. They knew that what the game plan was, and everyone was on the same page. And you caught it. They played the verticality to their benefit. The flanks jumping down instantaneously. And look, the Wings of Jupiter. That does mean we are going to say goodbye to them. See you guys later in the wild card signups. But damn, man, same old story. Just strat-wise and hero pick-wise, it just wasn't there. Well, towards the end, you know, sure, things got a little bit dicey, a little bit more staggered towards the final bridge choke point, but I think lesser so on the side of Wings of Jupiter. It was more so just Infinity, them taking the time.
Yeah, we did see some signs of life though, like some really positive signs out of Dylan especially. Got on a 9-kill streak at one stage, did some fancy footwork here to dodge some shots coming out. Of course, got taken out with the flash, so well flashed, so we're a bit salty about that. But no, Dylan did play well and had some pretty star showings. It's just about getting on the same page, finding a strategy that works for them. Of course, it didn't quite work out with the Fort as well. Hopefully, we see them in the wild card and with a little bit of a different flavor, playing around Dylan on that hit scan, on that damage dealer, and being able to get full value out of that. Because, yeah, there definitely is stuff to work with there. It's just about finding what enables their playstyle the best.
Easier said than done. Back to the drawing board, I think, for the Wings of Jupiter. But regardless, GG, well done, and take these as a lesson going home afterwards. And once again, guys, I don't want to be bashing them too much, but the Fort pick, it's the first time we've seen him in the entire league, and I gotta say, man, it's limited success. I don't really see much of a benefit to him. He's too slow, the DPS isn't there, the shield, so maybe the shield isn't too bad, but overall, it wasn't just as effective as other tanks. You know, I still think Ruby is probably the top tank in the entire meta right now, unless YOLO, you have anything to add on to that.
I think you're quite right there. I mean, even better than Jabali, I think, because Jabali gets countered pretty easy by Scad, and you see Scady picked almost 100% of the time. You've got Ruby, her shields will block the ultimate and block the net ability, so I think it's just definitely what you're saying there is true, and I think that the Wings of Jupiter pretty unfortunate with their picks. I think Dylan, another shout out to him, he played really well. He had to 1v5, let's be honest, so it was great. It was great, and I'm looking forward to the next game with Infinity against Arsenal. Hopefully, I mean, Infinity have shown that they can 100-0 on control points, so hopefully they can just bring that mentality, the momentum through, and maybe win a couple of maps against exclusive.
Indeed. Well, now let's check out the bracket, because that's the lower bracket grand finals done. Infinity, they will be moving on, and definitely one of the better, I suppose, underdog teams coming in today, back against the old opponents who 2-0'd them at the start off camera. Ex-Arsenal versus Infinity, that's going to be the grand finals. Can Infinity actually take a map off of them? Can they get the upset? If they do, that's going to cause, honestly, obviously waves and uproars within the scene itself. But ex-Arsenal, they've been watching, they've been chilling, and I would expect them to be pretty comfortable going forward.
Well, it's a big mountain to climb for Infinity, because they'd have to win twice, essentially, because of the bracket reset and the way it works. They'd need to take out ex-Arsenal in the first, and then they need to do it again. And I don't think ex-Arsenal are gonna lie down and take it twice. I think that they'll probably try and put themselves into an early night, a little bit of an early bedtime for exclusive Arsenal. So I'm looking forward to it, Digi. We'll have to see what comes up next. What do you think, though?
Well, look, I think exclusive Arsenal, maybe do some highlight reel clips, but then again, the heroes that were playing previously, sure, Myron on Fade, that was pretty cool to see, but everyone else, so-so, nothing too amazing. Come on, guys, if you're watching the stream, I want to see something cooler, maybe not Diggy, maybe some little bit of Yaz. See what they've been cooking up. Myron, I heard that he's got quite a decent hero pool, best in the world, so let's see on action. Guys, don't go away, we're about to see the grand finals.
Cause when you a giver, it's never enough. I had nothing to say. Slept in a garden of snakes. Far from me playing it safe. I was running from God that's planning his call. I didn't even know he was keeping me safe. I hit the bottom, I called on my mama. She gave me the truth and was praying for me. Life in the game, but you in a circle and running from purpose and playing for keeps. They scream YOLO, I went solo. That same night I would drop to my knees. The weight of the world I kept on my shoulders for all of my life was traded for peace. Yeah. Cool. Yeah, the game getting pressed like articles. Yeah, after delivery, taking what marches go, they wanna limit me. I'm with a ceiling be he been taking all of my enemies. I've been body bagging up the energy. I'm in the streets like a city with Mardi Gras. Yeah, out in the crowd, and I'm turning it down. You're not a king, I don't see thrones in your crown. It ain't a show when the truth comes to your town. A new heaven and earth, I'm going to life on the clouds. But anyway, I reach for a mic and a dinner plate. Having my home and a house so big, I'ma need a tour like I'm selling dates. Hold that thought, I meditate. Lost my way in 2013, got the key to life, that's a better place. I'm really from that bottom. I ain't have a dad with the richest rags, so I focus on what matters. And my coach put me in. Now I'm on the field and I got him. Well, I guess it's safe to say it's really about to be a problem. Hello, it's me again, I'm a fellow. And I'm calm and I'm mellow. But push me, you get jello. I go strings like a cello, but I ain't reading Othello. I got room for the metal, but ain't no reason to settle. I want greatness only, making the same mistake as Tony. Never that I gotta make them know me. Walk in the room, I made it boldly. Trust me, you can't fake this phonies. No need for staying lonely. I said I want greatness only. Man, I want greatness only. I'm in all black like I'm Gothic. 100 racks in my pocket. They don't cover my losses. I keep my eye on the profit. Haters love to just gossip. In a crowd and I'm mushing. Only talk to just bosses. Said I'm after that greatness. I'm just rhyming off topic. I'm rhyming off topic. I spent time in the tropics, but I'm back. Denying I lost it. My oh my, who's firing off the this is I. I'm flying a puppet. I'm denying a toxic. I got fire and eyes in pockets. Still I'm finding a pocket. I got time to be bosses. I got time to make greatness known. I'm a cook with that apron on. Come at me and let's make a toast. You gon' eat it and make the most. Hit the lane and then take the gold. No degree, we gon' make it known. Look at me when I make it go. Cause I run around like I'm Gothic. 100 racks in my pocket. That don't cover my losses. I keep my eyes on the profit. In a crowd, man, I'm mushing. Haters love to just gossip. Only talk to just bosses. Cause I'm after that greatness. I'm just rhyming off topic. Yeah, I'm rhyming again off topic. Go tell mums in writing again, and they can't even stop it. Cause when I shoot, it's buckets. Put that man in a coffin. Take this man to the moon. Put this man in a rocket. Cause I'm out of this world, and I got a mountain to climb. They say I'm out of my mind, cause I want the whole of the pie. But you know we never deny it. I'm on a diet, but I've been silent. I've been up working, but I've been quiet. What is the purpose when I resurface? Sing to the choir, man, I'm talking greatness. Still that as an understatement. I feel back that I run the bases. I look back but can't contain it. There I go, being unrelatable, but still we all embrace it. When I go put my name down, but I say he lies in greatness. They're in all black and they Gothic. 100 racks in their pockets. They don't cover my losses. I keep my eye on the profit. In the crowd, man, I'm rushing. Haters love to just gossip. Only talk to the bosses, cause I'm after that greatness. I'm just rhyming off topic.
Work it, I'm swerving around the circuit. It's a circus. I'm calling out names, I'm sure you heard it. I got style. I'm running like a bull down the aisle. On the loose, you better get used to it. You better get out of the way. I'm bringing on the heat like a wave. You all about to know my name. Trying to set up my day and by night I make it rain. No walls can hold me back. I'm on the prowl attack. No matter how it stands, I'm unstoppable. I'm unstoppable. I go, any place that I like though. Maybe a little psycho, no, I'm not one to be trifled. I am my only idol. I'm riding high, no Eiffel. So major got no rivals, and my veins are running.
Ladies and gentlemen, hope you've been having a fantastic evening watching some T3 Arena League and throughout the entire day enjoying and getting to know some of the invited teams that have come into our competition. and showcase just who is, the best, supposedly, of the invited teams going forward. We've yet to see all the top 8 into the finals just yet, but at this point, we have 3 out of 4 locked in already, and at this point, we are going to be deciding and finding out who our final qualification team is, and it's going to be exclusive Arsenal versus Infinity. Infinity, they've made a pretty decent comeback and a really good run through the lower bracket, but once again, against a David versus Goliath matchup to close things off. Let's see how well they do. I'm Digital, Smash, and YOLO. Right, YOLO, let's start with you. This matchup, it's happened once. We didn't quite see exactly what happened, but talk us through these two teams, right? Exclusive Arsenal, we know what they're capable of.
Yeah, exactly. We knew like they were a top team coming into this already, but I mean, I'm very impressed with Infinity here. So we've had no idea who they were before this tournament. They've already come in, won. They've got a flawless game of control. We've seen that they can play their comps. They've got really good communication. And I'm sure that they will like prove and see if they can run exclusive for the money. And like, honestly, I feel like they've got to definitely think more of like the mental side of it, the strategic side of it. They've maybe not got the skills that exclusive have because they've been playing the game longer. So they've just got to see if they can best counter pick and see if that will help them in any way.
Yeah, I echo those sentiments. I mean, it is a case of maybe they don't have the experience, they don't have the depth in terms of roster, but they do have the edge of being the underdogs, which is very powerful because, again, nothing to lose. They can just throw it all out there. If it sticks, great. They're the heroes. They're the kings of the world. If it doesn't stick, well, it's a learning opportunity, and they can move into those wild cards and really start to lay a great foundation for that because they've got this experience against the best teams. They've got a bar that's set very high that they can work with. And they have been playing fundamentally good T3 Arena. They've been working off each other very well. They've been working around sit on the tank heroes when they've been banned out. They've had an answer to it as well. So they're actually probably the most promising team I've seen today.
Yeah.
Just because we know what ex-Arsenal can do, and they haven't really done anything to surprise us or shock us.
Well, I mean, aside from that double tank coming out on Arctic Express and for the entire best of 3 control series, that was pretty funny to see, and pretty nice to see how they work around like those hero picks and work it to success.
Yep.
So let's check out the hero bans now between the grand final teams and figure out just exactly what is going to be banned for at least the side of Infinity, because for exclusive Arsenal, I don't think
they do a good
too
ban.
much. Okay, this is a little bit more serious now. Exclusive Arsenal, they get the Hunter out of the way, and for Infinity, that's going to be the JJ ban. YOLO, let's hear it from you first.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad that maybe they're not banning Diggy. Diggy now, they've decided that Infinity, like from what they've seen today, they're a worthy team of getting a good ban in, solid ban, and Hunter's obviously a very good ban to pick. I mean, it's a great hero. It counters so many heroes on like control and whatnot, so great pick. And then Infinity drawing JJ, I mean, I think that it's more like I say if Jizuki was going to be playing JJ, it's a good counter pick from them. I would have maybe expected to ban a Scaddy, but hey ho, no one knows because Infinity tend to play a tank, so
yeah, this already opens up. Well, first of all, it's already in a win for Infinity. They've already got a ban out that isn't Diggy, so they've already got some plus respect on the name. But also, it means that it's going to be in a letter on the open for ex-Arsenal as well. So we'll have to see if they try and run that. Of course, it's something that that can be quite oppressive, and especially on control, where you're able to use the verticality quite well and duck in and out of fights. We'll have to see. JJ ban, we haven't seen any JJ really today too much. We haven't seen it too successful, but yeah, Sid does pick up the JJ for themselves.
Kasama on B-Day? I mean, this is the first time we've seen him in the entire series. He's... Okay, no,
you're right.
Sure, Ruby. I rate this, and YOLO, this is about the most serious game I think we've seen all day.
yeah, definitely. And you can see with the comp that exclusive have, that's pretty much the meta comp across game modes. You've got a Scad, you've got an Alessi, you've got a Ruby. That's just the top tier heroes in terms of flanker, CC, damage, tank, hybrid tank. It's just perfect. And I'm sure that we'll see how abusive Aletta is maybe here by Myron. But a very good pick from both teams, honestly.
All right. Let's see, we're getting into it. Map 1, Arctic Express control. 20 seconds till the objective unlocks, and there we go. Already the first engagement coming off the board. P.Me versus Myron on Alexa. Actually, no, that's Sid.
Sid on the chase as well. Yep.
His body's everywhere. Nice initial bullet landed onto Myron, and off-camera as well. Sid already goes down. Things aren't looking too good. That was Jizuki to start off, getting first blood. Objective being taken by ex-Arsenal, looking pretty comfortable. And look at Myron on Aletta, getting in there deep. Ultimate be getting popped as well, faking them out. 1v1 versus Pimi. That's a shutdown on 1v2 to start the fight. I think that's a little bit ambitious.
Myron biting off a little bit more than they can chew. They were playing all around BD Shield really well on site, but just got a little bit too confident. Went up there and got sat down, really. But the answers is going to be there. The trades, it is doing an amazing job living on the side, just buying so much time, staying alive, playing around the shields perfectly. Does get Johnny Jet out of invisibility too, but Sid's going to get the kill. End of the day, Myron's going to be back pretty quickly, but it's going to be Johnny Jet just on the point. Does take the cap as well. Flushes Myron out a little bit, so things aren't all going the way of exclusive Arsenal. There is fight here, and Sid is posting up some pretty decent numbers.
Yeah.
1 for 1, but the contestation time has just been incredible already. Sid could get taken out here, though. As I say that, does get traded out, and the objective will flip over, but this hasn't been a roll. This hasn't been a stomp. There is a lot of fight in this side from Infinity.
100%, and as for a side of Infinity as well, like the picks is pretty good in on its own. Entei on Shell, I completely rate that pick. It just comes down to how good his tracking is. Sid proving maybe to be a little bit of an issue for the side of exclusive Arsenal, having trouble dealing with him and finding him.
Double dinger.
Jizuki took a bit long to find that shot, but regardless, like you said, the double kill going his way, leaving Sid by himself. It was a matter of time before they lock him down. B-Day with the finish. All right, now back to your regularly scheduled programming. Exclusive Arsenal back in control. Now, the question is, if you're Infinity, you got to group up. You got to find your pacing again and start with the first frag, whether it be B-Day or if it's Jizuki. And same old story strategy from B-Day again. You lock off on these lanes, close quarters combat, you throw out the cards. It's so punishing to go up against her.
Certainly is. Myron does get taken down, though. Pemi's been on fire, taking out Myron a few times, but it is going to be on high. There is going to be Ascardi just laying down the heat. The third kill as well. Someone needs to get banned out. It's the chicken skin. It's finally proving its worth, but it's still ugly.
Oh my god, Jizuki. I was going to say the Hunter ban originally, right? Like, sure, cool, well, it's for them. The thing is, Jizuki, regardless of whether he plays Scardy or Hunter, this guy's just an absolute laser beam. He's showing up double digits now, 10 kills to his name. No signs of stopping down, no signs of slowing down either. B-Day getting that final kill, and Myron, for the most part, just being a fly on the wall, distracting Infinity, and Jizuki's just doing so much of the heavy lifting and the finishing blows. Oh, 88% and growing. Infinity, they've yet to grab a kill, and that's the main issue. The moment they try, it's an instant rotation out from the individual players of exclusive Arsenal, and you have to spend so much time chasing them down, otherwise you're at risk of getting backstabbed. Contention on the side, bet you good money that's going to be Sid. Where's the rest of the team? Got to help him out. B-Day surely to get mown down here. That's a good start. Jizuki, 1v3, pin me at the 2k to swing the advantage into their favor, but they have to maintain side control all the way now. This is going to be no easy task.
Yeah, you look at the score and you think, Myron, wow, what are you doing on 3 and 4? That's not great. But there's so much space and time bought by Myron, just causing so many distractions. You see, again, just dancing, jiving around on the point, causing pressure, causing sort of attention, just playing around these health packs perfectly. Does get taken out, and unfortunately, teammates weren't in a position to really get too much off that. B-Day's going to get taken out as well, so 53% on the board. It is going to be, oh my god, a 2v1 situation. Gets the third as well. Oh my god, I need a heater on this Scardy. Basically soloing there. That was a hero play and a half.
My god. Make no mistake, I think, despite what we saw, despite what happened towards the very end there, Infinity, they did indeed bring the battle over towards exclusive Arsenal, and that was all Jizuki solo. YOLO.
Yeah, that was a great contest. It has to be said. Getting 62%, that's great. But I've got to say though, Jizuki carrying. But like, even though it doesn't look like it on the scorecard, as you were talking about, Myron, he's a mosquito. He did his job. He let Jizuki farm kills essentially by like making them all chase Myron farming. Bide also just like 2 kills, 2 deaths. Hey, their only job is to just get the shields out, be the tank that Jizuki needs to just completely get kills and get 13 and 1. That's a great score out there. But who knows? I'm just glad that they've come out with such a mentality that like actually, even if they're on 99%, we can get an extra 30%. We can put the pressure on exclusive Arsenal for maybe the next games going. Because even though like they got an extra 30%, they didn't win, but they still exclusive like hang on, these guys are like giving us a run for our money, and then maybe they could feel the pressure a bit more.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Jizuki just clutch moments, landing every single shot pretty much.
Only 2 team wipes.
Yeah, 2 team wipes by themselves, but it was off the back of the hard work of Myron, causing all those distractions, getting utility out, getting health pools down lower. There is good teamwork there, but as you pointed out, YOLO, they didn't give up at all. They were still in at 99% on the board. It's easy to be like, all right, we'll reset, we'll go next one, don't worry about it. But they still just stayed in it. They wanted to get that extra 30%. They wanted to keep going, keep fighting, because anything can happen. And it almost did. Hero play from Jizuki doesn't come out, and all of a sudden this game gets turned around. It might be 99-99, and nerves start to kick in. But a fantastic way to start off this series, that's for sure.
100%. And honestly, dare I say, for Infinity, if maybe they literally landed a couple more shots, that would have made all the difference in the entire series. I think there was a couple of close 1v1 moments there between Jizuki and I think it was Entei's shell that really brought things down to the wire. But for the most part, it's really good team play coming out from both sides. For the side of Infinity, it was much more focused, much more grouped together, more like one single lane assault, and then same old story for these higher tier teams. Once they maintain control, they have the confidence to kind of spread out and basically have that three-part defense spread across all lanes of the entire map. And it's just good communications, knowing where to funnel the enemy team into each other's lanes to go for these crossfires and kills. And now, map 2, Elephant and Stana. We haven't talked about predictions all day. YOLO, I want to hear from you real quick. Do you think Infinity can actually take this to map 3?
So I don't think they will, unfortunately, on this map, just because that unless they can lock Myron down and not let Aletta run around the entire map, run circles around, if they've got JJ and Shell just being like, let's target this Aletta, get her down, then focus on the rest. Because, I mean, Ruby's just going to have, she's the only tank here, she can just go straight to mid, get her shields out, and, I mean, Jizuki, hopefully, is just going to pop off again.
Yeah, we can already see. Well, Jizuki going down, a bit of a caster curse there for YOLO, but we see already on the board, Aletta trying to farm up, does get Sid on the point as well. So Myron able to play around these health packs, play around this verticality as well, and they will get the first capture out of it. This can be a point where Myron can use that verticality to get up onto the high ground very easily, as well as the pack on point, so there's a lot of room to play around with. A little bit more difficult for Jizuki, this one, I'd imagine, but yeah, it is very, very easy for Myron to get some work done here. So we might see Myron with his name up in lights as Bideg is very low, but won't be taken out. Managing to get that little mini pale pack as well. But yeah, this is going to be Myron's show, I reckon.
Oh, good ulti, good ulti.
Very
and
good ulti.
hey, that's a massive shutdown to Myron. It's just unfortunate the rest of his team only just respawned to get back onto the site. Now, if Entei can basically 1v1 and win this shield, it gives the team a fighting chance, and indeed he did. Single-handedly, he basically overtook the site. 5k pot as well, soon to be farmed, and that's going to be good percent built up. It just depends how quickly they can get back into the fight as a team and just start fending off the aggression coming out from ex-Arsenal. And also, funny to see as well, Jizuki's Skadi skin, the web, instead of a web, it shoots a cracked, hard-boiled, sunny side up egg. So just a little Easter egg I want to point out there.
Yeah, it was a cute part of the skin, but it still looks horrible anyway. Myron gets taken out again. It is a bit of a tear for Entei. They're on a 4-0 streak. They will finally get taken out here, surely. On the point, they actually get the ultimate off, but it is going to be Jizuki on the point, taking that kill out. So 32 to 31, now 32 even up. This is a much more even game.
Yeah.
Limits are being tested, and Sid gets taken very low onto the point straight away. Pemmy gets taken out by Myron. There's going to be more trades back and forth. The Shell doesn't manage to clean up the kill and stay alive. So domination on the point from the side of ex-Arsenal.
Damn.
They're going to solidify this a bit more, and they'll be going towards that 60%, that 70%. This is where things will start kicking off. Pemmy, your head's a bit too wide.
And look at Bide out as well from behind Jizuki with the shields, just to give him some extra protection from the right-hand peak and allowing them to lay down some covering fire. So the teamwork once again shining through really strong for exclusive Arsenal in these like really small micro moments. 70% soon. Infinity, you've done a great job of it initially tying things up. You have to take it all the way now. Oh, the tag team, the pinch over towards Entei, the biggest threat thus far over towards Myron. The instant shutdown, Jizuki 1v1 versus Pimi. You would not favor your odds any day of the week versus that guy. But guy's been going flawless, and this is his worst game yet, and it's only still a 6-2. Now, Sid, he's done a great job, not in kills, but just buying time and contesting the site, but has to do so much more than that. It's a matter of time before they flush him down, and everyone just shooting different angles at once. Entei, low, having to back up the safety. Sid trying to take the fight over towards Jizuki, and once again, same old story. You go to Jizuki, you get shut down instantly. It's just a complete wipeout at this point, 100%. Kills going all the way up to exclusive Arsenal. Very high-paced map too. And honestly, I was impressed from Infinity for quite a while there. I think just towards the end, they kind of lost their pacing and they started to get pinched apart. Couldn't quite get the regroup coming through. And game of staggers. Once again, YOLO.
Yeah, I think that's exactly right there. Let's hit the nail on the head because I feel like with you got a team like Exclusive Arsenal, if they get team wipes, they'll just regroup, play together. They know what needs to get done. They're not worried about the percent. And I feel like maybe even though it was really close for Infinity at the start when they got to like say 32%, after they kept dying, they maybe got the urge of I need to get to cap. I need to stop this going higher. I can do this. Got a bit too much of a boost, and they ended up like dying and like getting solo picked quite a lot. They weren't say playing as a trio, and I can just like remember say Shell going in dying, and then like Scaddy, and then JJ. It's just it didn't quite have the same amount of communication as we've seen against other teams earlier.
Desperation.
Yeah, I mean, okay, you can get a little bit frazzled, especially when you think you're able to turn a fight. If you get a 1-for-1 trade, or maybe someone's very low on the point, you're screaming out, get on point. You know, he's low, he's very low, very low. But I mean, again, Myron opened up and had a lot of space made this round. You could see it in the scoreboard as well. I think they ended up with 8 or 2, 9 or 2 or something like that. So definitely towards the end of the round, just went on a little bit of a kill streak and was a little bit too strong for the side of Infinity to deal with. And you see some highlights here from Myron. Fantastic work for Infinity to stay in it for as long as they could. But yeah, they lost a little bit of composure and started spewing out a little bit too much. They'll have to regroup. Payload Escort is up next, and that's more of a tactical Nous map in terms of your game mode. Control very brawly, you're relying a lot on mechanics and less about, you know, positioning, rotations, all of that. So Payload Escort, there could be an opportunity for Infinity here if they catch Arsenal, trying to go a little too frag hungry.
Well, yeah, I definitely do agree, and for the most part, in the entire format, is that Payload Escort, I think that really does test teams, either in terms of teamwork and mechanics. Seriously, Control, it's a small map, and like you said, Ben, it's more close quarters combat. Just whoever wins the fights at the end of the day, highlight real farming for the most part. But Payload Escort, that's the true gentleman's game for the most part. And I think from what we've seen as well, coming out from the first series, is that Arsenal, they'll be taking this pretty seriously. So without further ado, let's check out the hero bans. I'm really excited now. This grand final, dare I say, despite the score, despite how it's going, it's living up to the expectation. Exclusive Arsenal, Hunter ban again. Okay, fair enough. And the Osus ban from Infinity. I guess they don't want Myron styling on them, Zoblo.
Yeah, I think it definitely is more of that point of maybe Infinity are like, actually, I don't want to get clipped. I don't want to get put in like a montage or whatever on YouTube, because I feel like if you saw an Osas tending to, you would be like, actually, that's good. We can counter him because he's quite an easily countering hero. But I mean, obviously, Myron's well known for it, and he's great at it, and he can deal with counters very well. So I'm sure that there is some logic to that. But then Exclusives Hunter ban, that's just a classic. It's really effective. Why wouldn't you go for it?
Certainly is very, very safe. It does let the letter through again, so we'll have to see who picks that one up. It will be Myron once more to pick that one up through. So definitely looking like serious business here for Exclusive Arsenal. They want to get this 2-0. They want to get some dinner in. They want to secure their spot into those grand finals. But Infinity, they have thrown a little bit of a curveball to try and get this one done. They needed something. And we'll have to see if the strategy they can employ here will open up an opportunity.
They're playing defense to start off the first leg of Payload Escort. They've got Jabali and they have Sindri.
Sindri against that Aletta could work out pretty well. I mean, Yolo you mentioned before, Yolo, this Sindri could work out pretty well. You'll have to see the spots. Yolo, what are you thinking about this Sindri pick?
Yeah, I think it definitely is a counter Aletta pick, especially with the Jabali there as well. And I think that maybe that they're thinking that, hey, we're against such a good team that they will inevitably get to the end, but how about we pick a comp that will maybe stall as much as possible instead of like get kills. They're like, actually, let's use a tankier comp, we'll have a turret, we'll just make their life as difficult as possible to maybe beat them in the race.
Yep, and basically just hedge all your bets on the second half. Hopefully that's the idea. Anyway though, I feel this will be a lot of pressure over towards Pimi, and good start right off the bat. B-Day getting melted instantly. Everyone leaping onto him. Here comes Myron though. What can he do for us? The Sindri turret, not quite causing too many issues for him as soon as he goes indoors, and that's a kill. He mounts Entei. It's not looking good for Sid. Oh, raining down fire from above. Jizuki, a single flash, exploded Jabali, and here comes the push.
Yeah, so the defense has been cracked already, and with this turret hero, it's going to be harder to get back in on the contest. I mean, you're going to have Myron just kind of like poking and pesting around. Needs to get taken out pretty early on, and you know what? It happens. So the first little bit of a checkpoint has been one out. They're able to get back into the game, you'd imagine. Do a bit of a setup here. They need to contest pretty quickly. Ruby is just pushing the cart. You see them. They try to rotate unders. They have got that sentry down now. Good old putt. Finding back to safety, and Myron's able to rotate around and take out that turret as well. And now on the cart, focusing that through. Myron is back and large and in charge. Might get taken out here again, as I say. So Myron's actually wearing a little bit too much down, but he's on the cart still contesting, still causing a lot of these issues.
This fight's actually really even across both teams. Sure, it's a decent push, but then again, huge props to Infinity. They are holding them at bay, and honestly, the counter-pick strategy might be working out. Entei staying alive for the most part. Sid as well, staying on the payload, popping the ultimate if need be, and when people get too close, starts electrocuting them. I dare say, they are struggling. And Pimi, I was afraid initially, would he be able to take them under pressure? And so far, it's been 3 kills, sure. Pretty crucial kills to say the very least. Jizuki gonna basically focus on the turret first, indeed, and maybe just be more selective about who they choose to take down. So change up in the strategy, I think, coming out from exclusive Arsenal, rather whipping up, getting a little bit closer, and coming down from above. But point blank, Myron just doesn't stand a contest. Entei picks up 2. This Syndrome counterpick, it's working wonders for Infinity. This hold is going beautifully. A minute and a half left to push it to first checkpoint. Exclusive Arsenal, they're struggling.
Yeah, Myron's not showing enough respect here, I don't think. He's trying to play a bit fast and loose around this bunker composition, and it's just fighting them pretty hard. Myron needs to focus on letting the teammates try and create a little bit of space for them. As Myron keeps going in first, and now we start to see a little bit of action come through as Bito's taking out Pemi first off, which is a good sign, a good start to the round, and we're starting to see some angles being opened up. Myron is going to be able to clean out that cart. We'll start to get some push going.
Yeah.
This is what they needed. Now, Myron needs to play very safe here. If Myron goes down, which they might, it could cause a lot of issues. Myron dropping very low, but does fall back smartly enough, try and find a bit of safety, find a bit of health.
Well, hang on. Myron's back into the fray again, just being that mosquito in their sides. Now, the Sid's going to run it mostly by himself, but this is a really good thing now. They've changed up their strategy for Arsenal. Instead of trying to go head-on, they're starting to play a little bit more sneaky, a little bit more flanky, and focus on one player at a time, whether it be Entei or whether it be Sid. And as you can see, these melt these players almost instantly, and back to a game of Snaggers once again. This payload, for the most part, going uncontested. There's the first checkpoint, 2.5 minutes to bring it to the very end. It's doable. But at the same time, Infinity, when they managed to find the groove again and managed to get back together without losing the player early on, getting pinched, they really are bringing the fight over towards exclusive Arsenal. And I might have just spoken too soon.
Yeah, they did get the full reset, but Pemi went down pretty early on to Myron. Myron's been playing a little bit more baity, watching and waiting for them to start to run at run at his teammates, and then using that space to try and work with. But you already see this is getting a bit of a decent push. Very good first hold from the side of Infinity. They did very well, but now Myron's got that little bit of space to work with, knows where this turret is going to be able to use the right-hand pick to try and shoot it out. Entei's there, trying to protect it with all that they can.
Oh, here comes Sid. The thing is now they're focusing on Myron a little bit too much when the objective is under siege heavily. The ultimate shield being popped. No one's shooting it just yet, and they understand exactly what's going on, but no one's capitalizing off of the distraction. There's Jabali. Myron at the backstab. Where was the kill from the rest of Infinity? You can't be doing that. Sid going on there, trying to do a one-man play, and everyone else is just miles away from him. Entei, last player standing for the most part, and he's going to get picked out of the air. No turrets, nothing coming his way. It's falling apart for Infinity. They put on a decent hold initially, but at the end of the day, it looks to not matter. Sid, same old story by himself. Guys, Pimi, Entei, gets on, gets help. He can't do it by himself. This payload still slowly but steadily trudging his way towards the final choke point. Entei down, Sid down, all down to Pimi in a 1v3. Myron's low, it does not matter. B-Day with the shutdown. That's the final cap.
Yeah, it looked good on that first hold, but they kind of just fell apart a little bit on towards the back end there. They did get that clean up onto that first checkpoint. When the first checkpoint was captured, they managed to fully reset and clean up. Pemi just overextended a little bit and was so punished for it. And that just let the side of ex-Arsenal back in, and you can't give them an inch because they're going to take the mile.
Yep. YOLO. Okay, never mind. And I guess for the most part, we can see just the difference, and I guess was it composure as well during the heated battles coming out from both sides. Arsenal, when everything's going a little bit wrong, they instantly back off. Myron, we can see that multiple times. If he feels he's threatened, he's going to back off, heal, regroup. But however, for the side of Infinity, a little bit different. Well, very different. Much more lopsided. If things go wrong, they don't back up and try to play with the teammates. They just try to tank it out and hope for the best.
Yeah, definitely, and I feel like that's where they were maybe slacking to the end. But also, we've got to congratulate them. It took them 4 minutes 50 to get to the end, right?
Yeah.
The game is definitely in Infinity's ballpark here. The pressure's all on exclusive Arsenal, right? Because 4 minutes 50. We've seen teams get it in 2 minutes 30, 3 minutes. They've got plenty of time. As long as they can get the momentum going, get that first checkpoint with plenty of time, play high, I reckon they've got the chance to win here.
Definitely got a win condition on the board. It will be a tough one. First step is going to be getting this first point with that time, as you mentioned. Good start, as Entei and Sid are going to try and do a bit of a long rotation wrap around. They are going to manage to get it through, but they are just trying to force them out of position, force them off the high grounds, force them into awkward positions. They're not too concerned about the cart at the moment because, at the end of the day, they need to get the eliminations. They can't let them have all the high grounds, all the angles. You see Myron now moving over to this Liling. He needs to get some kills out and needs to start positioning. You can see, forced off that high ground into a narrow choke, a little bit of a corridor, gets taken out. But Vito's there with the trade on that energy.
And you know, Pimi, he came in a little bit late. There was no trade coming through. Entei, sure, good job on focusing on the payload, but the problem is your team that goes down next to you. You're close to the spawn, so it's not the end of the world. And good ultimate as well. That should be the shutdown. Massive kill going their way. B-Day's out of the equation. And Myron, once again, really good, how do I say this? Discipline. Falls back to safety. Jizuki not quite in it just yet. But so far, so good coming up from Infinity. They found their groove, they found their game plan. Just matters on how long they can continue. Pimi finds 2 as well. Massive frags they need, and all 3 of them, for the most part, just going to stay on the payload. Escorts it all the way as a team, but here comes the counterplay from B-Day, starting off with the Johnny J ultimate.
Oh, it does get trapped though. Yeah, it gets webbed, and that means B-Day will be going back to the spawn room.
Huge.
Positionings are set up a little bit here. They do have high ground aggression here from the Aletta, but it's not going to be able to be taken advantage of just yet because B-Day goes down. That means there's an extra bit of push going through. A headshot will take very low on the Jabali. The nice little tornado as well to set him up, knock him down. This fight is going the way of exclusive Arsenal. Just Pimi left, and with 2 players in the sights, might be a little bit too much to fight off. Myron will take him out, reset it up a little bit again. 1 minute 25 left on the clock. This push is pretty important. This push is vital for the side of Infinity. They need to get this one through.
I've got to say, at the very least as well, you know, like the progress they've made, it's much faster now on the attack side compared to when Arsenal, they were on the attack. But now the main issue is, like you said, like this final push and also the attack. Which way will it go? Myron should trigger the discipline. This is a shot. 7k crit to the head. That's massive. Now, I feel like they might be tunnel vigiling a little bit too much on the wrong player right now.
Oh, nice tornado.
Catches Entei. Huge kill. Myron, the shutdown, the payload, slowly making its way back. This is going terribly, terribly wrong for Infinity. They had a momentum going, but instantly stifled after a team wipe. And they're struggling to regain it. They're getting grouped up individually. Pimi having to do so much work. Here comes Myron again off of the distraction. That is Jizuki. Entei, a bit of a one-man mission. Once again, a game of staggers, I fear. They are grouped up partially, but it's not great. Good ultimate. They catch one. Jizuki's out of the equation. Big threat. But once again, here comes Bide. Massive frag going his way and staying invisible amongst this ulti, and Myron miles away, putting down damage. They're causing so much issues, not even necessarily getting kills, just buying time. That's what matters. 10 seconds left.
Well, Tornado misses. Certainly it looks pretty done and dusted. Pimi coming back, trying to get the kills, but Entei really needs this one onto Myron. Does get it, but very, very low on HP. Contested. 1 second ticks over. They won't get that overtime wick burning very long. It will burn down, and with it, their chances of taking this series, it'll be down to the wild card for Infinity, and it will be exclusive Arsenal moving on. They showed a great fight, though, from the side of Infinity. That's exactly what we wanted to see out of them. They pushed them to the limit on that control, taking some points off them, as well as pushing the card a pretty decent amount and doing some stalling. So Infinity, they're looking good for that wild card, but ex-Arsenal, they're just too strong.
They are strong. They definitely had the discipline and composure. I think it was mainly just team play. Instead of necessarily playing for kills, just playing the objective instead. And as opposed to Infinity, right, like you said, yeah, they put up a great fight, but I think maybe one point in which they struggled was simply they put too much focus on trying to play the objective, funny enough, and leaving Pimi, for the most part, having to deal with a lot of these mid to long-range engagements, which, you know, one man can't do it all by himself. But nonetheless, I'm very impressed by Infinity's show up in the Grand Finals. And the score, even though it's a 2-0, does not tell the tale of the full story. YOLO.
Yeah, just echoing exactly what you said. Infinity, we didn't really know who they were. They've completely come here, shown just how good they are for a new team as well. Yeah. I'm sure we'll see them as one of the 4 teams in the wildcards, maybe get through, maybe play exclusive Arsenal again in the final. That would be really interesting to see, like maybe a one of those historic matches when they get the comeback and win or whatnot. But I've got to say, they put the pressure on. It wasn't a whitewash at all in any of these games. So I've just got to give hats off to them. But you've got to say, exclusive Arsenal, they came, they did what they needed to do, and they just won. They didn't lose an entire map at all. They were just calm, collected, disciplined, what you were saying, composure, and they got the job done.
Yeah, I mean, exclusive Arsenal, they kind of were tested because you saw that they were picking picking great heroes. They were banning out Hunter. They were forced to do something that they probably didn't think they would have to do today. They probably thought they'd be able to walk across it and not worry too much about anyone else. But I guess end of the day, Infinity pushed them to respond and play as seriously as possible. So Infinity, they have a great little starting point now to work off, and we'll have to see throughout the wild card, see how they kind of stack up against some of these other teams that have been knocked down. There's some strong teams in there, but Infinity definitely one of the ones that I'd be watching through that wild card process.
100%. And also one thing to mention as well, which we'll talk about a little bit later, yes, they won the team's exclusive Eternal. I think they, well, personally, look to be a little bit more dominant in terms of firepower-wise compared to exclusive Arsenal. Mate, that's the wrong files we got open on the screen, I gotta say. But let's check out the bracket as well going forward, because once again, just to summarize how we got here at this point in the day. Grand Finals exclusive Arsenal, the exact same story, 2-0 Infinity, but I must reiterate, the 2-0 does not reflect what happened. It was not a stomp classically. Infinity actually pushed them. Exclusive Arsenal, they were forced, I wouldn't say forced, but they were definitely feeling the pressure, and they had to play reasonably serious.
Yeah, they were forced to respond and play a bit serious. And that probably comes from the first map of the day where they saw each other for the first time. They probably gauged that, okay, these guys are here to play. These guys are pretty serious. They could test us a little bit. Let's not take it for granted. Let's take it seriously and knock it out 2-0, knock it on the head pretty quick. But this was the story of the day. XCV and Wings of Jupiter getting taken out in that lower bracket. Pretty quick smart by Infinity.
Well, look, guys, congratulations. Exclusive Arsenal. Love to see it. Myron, Bide, and Jizuki, these three players today, putting on a show for us, making it through all the way as the 4th team qualified into Phase 1. And now let's do a recap as well. Check out all 4 teams across both the 2 weekends of who made it through. Exclusive Arsenal, Exclusive Eternal, Dangerous Plan, and Exclusive Argons. Looks to be pretty stacked for the Exclusive Clan, but
yeah,
to be expected. They are a selection of very, very good players, YOLO.
Yeah, they are. And also remember the exclusive team that got knocked out in Qualifier 1. So I'm sure we'll see them come back as well. So I reckon 4 out of the 8 teams, or 5 out of the 8 teams in the grand final will be exclusive. So they've got a bit of an army going here, which is quite funny. But also, I think it's great, right? So you've got a lot of competitiveness. They all, like, it's a love-hate relationship, right? They're great friends, like in scrims or whatever. But as soon as it gets into a game, they're enemies, right? It's just natural.
Exactly.
And I feel like it is very fun, especially when you know who plays who plays who the best. Like, you know, like what they're actually going to do because you know them so well. You know, like their thought processes. I feel like it'll be really interesting to just see the variety of counter picks we might be able to see in the final. Yeah,
it's pretty ironic that they're called exclusive, but it seems like, you know, they got a lot of players in there and a lot of teams in there. Of course, Dangerous playing the old one out there, but they played exceptionally well to get through that second day qualifier. A lot of work to be done for our wildcard teams though, Digi.
Yeah, indeed. Speaking of wildcard, let's check out finally some information available to everyone. The wildcard signups, this is going to be Phase 2. Once again, I want to reiterate, this is open, right? This is going to be North American Open qualifiers from the May 1st, which is going to be around 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's when you can sign up. Once again, open to everyone. If you got knocked out in the first phase, doesn't matter. Come back again. That includes the teams that were even knocked out today. And look, man, it's been one hell of a Phase 1. I've been loving it. And one last thing to mention as well, giveaways, guys. We all love to see that across every single day. Oh,
we got one always.
It doesn't matter. You don't need it. I think you're fine.
I'm fine.
That code on screen, guys, put it into your game to get yourself some 2 Rumble boxes and 60 T-coins. So enjoy those. Thank you for being our loyal viewers. And of course, the question to you now, YOLO, what would you do if you had those Rumble boxes and T-coins?
Well, I've got a maxed out account, unfortunately, so
yeah,
not
yeah.
much. But in terms of, I mean, it's very helpful. Anything free for a free-to-play player is just really beneficial. It'll help you max out those characters, maybe save up for that passive to be very viable. Because if you look at a letter, for example, you need that passive to double jump. For a Scaddy, you need that passive to crit a chance, and that will make you a lot more viable as a player. So I think it's just great.
Yeah, Scotty's been a pretty popular one to upgrade actually from the free Rumble boxes and T-coins. That was pretty much all of our experts have been saying, get Scotty, get it upgraded, get onto it.
Yeah.
Very safe pick, safe as houses really. And
Yep.
no, what a fantastic series and what a fantastic little qualifier, the Phase 1. We've met a lot of good teams. We've seen a lot of teams fall. We've been on the journey with them all, and I can't wait to see how they go through that wild card and eventually into that finals. It's been an absolute pleasure to bring it all to you.
Yeah, indeed, guys. Once again, a small plug, the wildcards, that's going to be Phase 2. Anyone can open. 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, May 1st. That's going to be tomorrow for some of you people, depending where you are in the world. Feel free to join up, guys. Just play. And also to mention, if you liked the stream, give us some feedback in the description box right now of the live stream. Scroll down a bit. Give your feedback in the survey. We want to hear it from you guys. What did you like? What didn't you like? Is it the format? Is it us? Is it my hair? I don't know. Let's hear it. Everyone, thank you for tuning in today for the final day of Phase 1. It's been an absolute pleasure. I'm Digital, this is Smash, and that's YOLO. We bid you farewell. See you in the wildcards.
The payload is approaching its destination. Triple kill.